Paul, so moved.
Support.
Support by Councilman Baydoun. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have a closed session. I move to go into a closed session. Could somebody please make the motion?
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat,
I move that City Council go into closed session.
Support.
supported by Councilman Constant. Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
just so that we don't screw things up for the clerk's office, when I continue with the rest of the motion, just in case,
Oh,
or you want me to do it?
I can do that. I made the
Okay.
motion. I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council move to a closed session at 7:04 PM to discuss a lawsuit presented by Mayor Bazey, Chief of Staff Hernandez, and Corporation Counsel Miyake, and Mark Roberts of Sequest Wordle for Edwards versus City of Dearborn Heights.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Baydoun. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? At this time,
Council-
we will go into a breakout room for the closed study session.
Council Chair, we need to do a roll call on that closed session.
Councilman Muscat,
Yes.
Councilman Constant,
Yes.
Councilman Abdul
Yes.
Malinowski Maxwell, yes. Councilman Abdullah,
Yes.
Councilman Wenzel,
Yes.
Councilman Baydoun.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Council Chair, are
Okay,
we
go
ready?
ahead.
Are we ready to
Yes.
proceed?
Yes.
Council Chair, I move that City Council follow the recommendations of our Corporation Council on the matter of Edwards versus Dearborn Heights.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdul Haq. Is there any discussion before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Let's do a roll call vote. Councilman Muscat,
Yes.
Councilman Constant,
Yes.
Councilman Abdul Haq,
Yes.
Malinowski Maxwell, yes. Councilman Abdullah,
Yes.
Councilman Baydoun,
Yes.
Councilman Wenzel.
Yes.
Okay, it passes. Let's move on. Next, we have approval of minutes. This is minutes of the regular meeting of August 10th, 2021.
Madam
Council
Chair,
Chair,
Councilman Constant,
I move that the minutes from the regular meeting of August 10th, 2021 be approved as submitted.
Support.
supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, I have minutes from the electronically held special meeting of August 16th, 2021.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat,
I move the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the minutes for the electronically held special meeting on August 16th, 2021, as outlined in 4B.
Support.
supported by Councilman Abdul Haq. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have public hearing and comment on agenda items. These are items on today's agenda. There is a limit of 2 minutes, and you need to state your name and street and city. Go ahead, please. Director Hashem.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Mayor Bazey. How are you? Thank you. I'd like to talk about fund transfers and current claims items, specifically items 6, 7, fair housing services, and that should be paid by CDBG instead of general government as it
That's not
states.
part of the agenda.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's just a
Would you
correction.
prefer we pull it?
So it just needs to be corrected, that's all.
Did somebody get that correction?
Sorry.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
item 7 on current claims be paid by
CDBG,
block grant instead of from the general government fund.
thank you.
Councilor Abdullah?
But I just want to make sure, Council Chair, you want me to keep track of the time or is the clerk's office keeping track?
Go ahead. If you, well, who wants, now we're on Zoom again. Madam
So-
Clerk, would you like your office to keep time on this?
It doesn't matter to me,
Yeah,
whatever.
well.
You've got the
reason I-
signs there, right?
Yeah, you got the signs. Probably better that you do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good, because I was trying to
You're
find my
welcome.
stopwatch on my phone.
Same here.
Okay, any other public hearings and comment on agenda items tonight? I have Suzanne Todd. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment on item number 9, F, G, H, I, J, and K. All the money that is being spent for new equipment. It seems like whenever we get a new DPW director, we get all this new equipment. We're told it's got to be replaced and everything. But I would like to know in particular, well, I know you can't answer it, but why the DPW needs an airlift with a trailer. I think we could use something like a backhoe for the Ecorse Creek that would help about almost, well, a little less than half of the population of Dearborn Heights. And I would ask that the council not vote for this airlift and instead have the money used for something that will benefit the people along that live in the south end. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public hearing and comment on agenda items? Okay, at this time, let's move on to fund transfers and current claims with making the correction to 6.7, was it?
6.7, correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, go ahead.
I move that fund transfers and current claims 6.1 through 6.34 be approved with a correction on claim 7, fair housing services, that be paid from community block grant development funds.
Support.
Or
Or by Councilman Muscat, is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Ed Bill Hawk.
I have two questions on 6.7. Did we have any complaint whatsoever from anybody about how we do fair housing?
Excuse me, Councilman.
Director Hashem,
Let's, hold on a minute.
I'm sorry, Councilman, can you repeat the question, please?
did we have any complaint from anybody how we deal with fair housing in our city?
Yes, there's a whole bunch of complaints, but they all go through the fair housing based in Detroit. And what I do myself is I do visit that office once a year downtown Detroit, and we go through some of the complaints. We don't get addresses and we don't get names because that's confidential, but we make sure that fair housing is taking cases in Dearborn Heights, and that's what they bill us for.
Did they ever done any recommendation to us to improve our, our work?
Though I've met, and I believe his name is Robert. I've met with Robert quite a few times actually in person when I visited him in his office. And their recommendation is they deal with real estate people, they deal with apartment complexes, they deal with various housing issues. Specifically, no, they did not make any recommendation for us.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
The second thing is 626, the RKA Petroleum. Can we have itemized list of who used the gas and which vehicle used the gas, maybe monthly or quarterly? This is the water department, I believe.
If someone's here from the water department, could you please raise your hand so we can find you? We've got 3 different sets of pages here.
If they don't have it, that's okay. I'll ask tomorrow.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat?
on that same thing, 626, it's just water paying for it. Now, like Councilman Zohair Abdul Haq brought up, seems like a lot of money just for water. Is that being used for other maintenance and road and because that's all being, I believe, though that fuel is being stored at the DPW yard. Am I correct on that? If the DPW director is here,
We've got Michael Blackburn here that raised his
Mr.
hand.
Conrad's here too.
Michael Blackburn raised his hand. Should we call on, he may, well, who wants to answer it?
Anybody who can answer, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Mr. Blackburn can answer it. I don't, doesn't matter to me.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Michael.
Okay, when the fuel is delivered to DPW, it is paid out of the water fund. And when we fuel up our vehicles, we have fuel cards that we use, and it tracks the person and the vehicle that is that the fuel is being dispensed into. And every month, the garage superintendent fills out a sheet of who uses the fuel, because it's not only building maintenance, highway, and water that use the fuel. The South End Fire Station comes and fuels up there too, and those reports are sent up to the controller's office, and then the controller's office takes out of like the building maintenance more fuel count, and we'll put it back into the water.
Does the controller charge, if the controller is here, does he separate the charges per department?
Can you hear me?
Is the controller here? Okay. Hi,
Oh, there he is. Let me unmute him.
Jawad.
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Jawad, do you separate the expenses of each department separately?
We do. I can't explain to you right at this moment exactly how they do, but we have interfunds where we do split. But I'm not sure in regards to that specific issue. If we do, I'd have to look at it.
Okay, for the sake of time, if you can, please give me a copy of what you do at a later time.
Okay, what can you explain to me exactly what you want?
But you have 14,561 and 51 cents
Yes.
used paid from the water. But
Yep.
the fuel is used by more than one department. We should be charging each department what they use.
Okay.
I'm just asking, do you have separate account for each one of the department? If you can't
I
answer it, Mr.
I haven't
Bedley.
seen that. I haven't
Mr.
seen that. I don't know if
Jawad,
Michael Blackburn would know that.
Okay, if you cannot answer it today, please, you
Yeah.
can just pass it to us so we'll know next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Blackburn, would you like to answer that at this time?
Monthly, at the end of each month, when the report is made up of which departments use what fuel, it is sent up to the controller's office, and a employee within the controller's office, she goes through and she makes the adjustments. She will take how much fuel building maintenance uses for my department. She will take it out of my motor fuel line item that is in my budget, and she will put that back into the water department budget, that is taken out of. They don't charge my department until I actually use the fuel.
Mr. Blackburn, do you know
Yeah.
for sure this is done?
Yes, when I have, in the past, when I have gotten monthly reports, it's shown the motor fuel that I used in my monthly reports.
And I would like, please, some information from the controller office showing me that it is divided into the departments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on this?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
So I had a question for administration. For the first time since I've been on the council, I noticed that all of them across the board don't have any signatures from any of the department heads. And I checked with the clerk's office, and obviously it's not on their end, it's from administration. Was there any reason as to why no department head signed any of these current claims?
Who signed them?
No, none were signed. None of the authorized officials signed them except the controller and the mayor.
Okay, who are you? Okay, let's get,
So this would be administration.
Control. go
So,
ahead, sir.
Okay, yeah, normally what happens is, if, like on the backup, a claim is sent in or an invoice, the director will sign that invoice. So in a lot of cases, we'll initial, like Matthew in our department will write down the director's name in that spot where they were supposed to sign, and then I'll just initial it. Matthew was out this last week. He had a death in the family, so it wasn't anything that, I mean, I didn't double sign is basically what it was. But for the most part on those claim forms, the directors don't sign those. If they sign the backup, we ask them to sign the backup at least, so they don't have to double come into the office just to sign a claim.
right, but at the same time, I want to make sure that every single department is aware of the exact amount of monies that's being put out, because from the mayor's office, whether it's the mayor or you or your
Yep.
department, obviously you're going to be pretty familiar with. One that's going to be the most familiar is going to be the actual department heads.
Yeah.
And it's always been normal to have an authorized official sign on the front of it, so.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, what happens, how does it become a claim, is they don't submit it as a claim necessarily to department head. We determine that it's over a certain amount and we should send it in to you guys. So we submit it as a claim to you guys. It's, for the most part, not really the department heads. In some cases it is, but in a lot of cases it's us forwarding it to you guys for transparency.
But I've never had it where it's not signed.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna tell you, for me, I'm not comfortable approving
Yeah.
these without the specific department head signatures.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Mariana Hernandez?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Mr. Jawad was saying. It is signed in the backup, and per the charter, that is the only approval that you need from the department heads. Before they become claims and go to council, they need Mr. Jawad's and the mayor's signature. So if you look at the back page of each one of the claims, those are signed by the department heads.
Okay, so are we no longer then gonna use the front? Because that was the easiest way to be able to tell, to make sure that all three parties have signed it together. That was the standard protocol for 8-9 years I've been on the council. So
I
if we're
believe that would be a
changing
question to the corporation council. I don't know if it's necessary to have it twice signed.
it- So if then,
I
if you don't
wanted-
mind, Gary, can you answer that for us? Are you personally, as our attorney, comfortable enough with just having, without having the authorized signature on the front of each one of those claims, which we've had for years and years?
Corporate counsel? Miyaki? Okay, he's not here. Well, let's say, do the council members want it signed?
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat?
we had this issue before with our former controller where she was signing them with the person's name. And then we had her initial it because she'd see that they were signed on the backups, and then she would just sign for the directors with her initials. We did that for a long time.
Yeah.
We seen that happen for a few years.
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember that when that happened, she was signing them, and then we said, wait a minute, these signatures all look alike. How come you're signing them? And then she said, because they were already the backups were signed. And then finally we had her put her initials next to that signature. That's all.
Right, and I remember that, Councilman Ray, but the challenge that I've got, if you remember, this also came up a while back with a former, chief of staff, mayor's assistant, you can call it whatever you want to call it. I remember we had a lot of debate on that. But when she would sign on behalf of the mayor, we all had a problem with it also. So again, just so that we're consistent, personally, I would still like to see the signatures on there.
If
What-
I
the
may,
other
I
council-
think that it,
This is, if I'm sorry, if I may, because this is, the advantage of this is checks and balances. You got three different positions in City Hall, checking each other and just making sure everything's on board. You know,
Not
for me,
disagreeing with you. I'm
I-
just telling you what happened previously.
yeah, I remember. When
Yeah.
If I may, I would like
I-
to recommend that we listen to Budget Compliance Director, Mr. Jamal. He's the next person after Miyake who knows these policies.
Well, at this time, I think it's what council members are comfortable with because we are the ultimate one in the end that approves these. And I have to agree with Councilman Abdullah. And not that anything's going to be done wrong, but with 3 sets of eyes looking at the final number, if there's a mistake, somebody's going to catch it, you know, and if they don't, you know. How do you feel, other council members?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdul Haq?
I just want to know if Mr. Mayatki would answer or Mr. Jamal. Is it
Mr.
enough?
Miyake, I've asked him, I don't know what happened to him. He had his video on and he's disappeared suddenly.
Okay. I just want to ask if the signature of the mayor and the controller are enough.
That would be a legal thing, I would think. Here he comes.
Sorry, I had a Zoom issue here momentarily. I was trying to get
That's
back.
okay.
screen and
Mr. Mayatki, the question
Second.
is,
Yeah, I heard the question. but,
okay, legally
hear
by
me.
charter,
By charter, I do not think that it has to end up being signed off on other than ultimately the mayor just has to approve that things get on to the agenda. The mayor has done so since things had come to his office. And I believe that would be necessary under the circumstances.
and
I
the
don't think that the charter
the-
requires anything more than his review of something before it ends up being put onto the agenda if it has contractual component to it, or if it's contractual in nature.
Okay, next I have Director Conrad. I think you have your hand up by mistake. I'm not sure.
He's muted.
No, I know. I've asked him to unmute.
Oh, am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Yes, that was from earlier. I think Mike pretty well answered that question, but there are a lot of departments that purchase fuel that I'm sure are being reported.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next I have Councilman Muscat.
That was for the signing. I think I said what I needed to say about the signing documents. We went through this once before, and again, if they're signed on the backups and the comptroller puts their names and initials on it, that would be fine by me.
Okay, next we have Director Hassan Jamal.
Good evening. I did have an issue with the Zoom myself. We have a thunderstorm. I'm connecting with my phone. Responding to the claim must be reviewed and approved to go on the agenda by the mayor and the controller and the department heads. The department heads acknowledge their approval of the invoice, that it's been sent to the controller. The controller review, asked the mayor agreed. If it is above $1,500, if it is a procurement under the charter, which is 2.45, then it will go to the council. And the council then will review and vote up and down by item or by whole. And if the council member prefer that the cover sheet for each claim to be acknowledged by the department heads, by the mayor, and by the controller, to just illustrate as what we call cover sheet for the claim, that's fine. That's also extra transparency, we, the administrator, we don't decide the level of transparency. The legislators decide the level of transparency. So if the council at whole voted that they want the cover sheet to be signed by each department heads, also by the mayor and by the controller, I have no problem from the compliance point of view. I think it's even better. It's more transparently, presented, and I am for transparency all the way. If it's necessary, I said, no, it's only flipping the page and you can see the department head's signature and you can see the department heads actually allocated where they wanted this particular invoice to be paid from. Now, in the future, near future, we are updating our system to include that all department heads will enter their invoices in the BSNA system, and they create their own cover sheet. They sign the cover sheet for each claim, and then that will be electronically intercepted by the controller and the mayor. Then they sign it. And actually, in the very near future, the council member, and I hope that very near, you don't have anything in front of you. You will be going into the BSNA and retrieve everything. And actually, you have all this electronically. The paperwork will be optional to be eliminated. If a council member wanted the paperwork, they want us to cut more trees, harm the environment, and create papers, then we'll provide it. But this is our goal. And soon we are going to be presenting to the council, the honorable council, that particular electronizing and actually updating the city to be at this 21st century. We are in 2021. I worked in other cities and we were using this system way back. Thank you.
Next on the list, I have Councilman Constant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I heard the Mayor's Chief of Staff, Marian Hernandez correctly, so somewhere there is a signed copy. The copy we happen to get earlier in the week isn't signed, but there are copies that are signed. Is that correct? By the department heads?
Oh, hold on a minute. She muted herself again.
May I answer?
Comptroller Jawad
Go ahead.
seems to have an
I
answer.
can answer.
Or-
Either one of us can answer,
Okay.
but pretty much the invoice that the controller receives, which is the back page of each cover sheet for each claim, is signed by the department heads. So
Thank you.
that is considered the signature that we use in order to put their name in the cover sheet.
If I can just add one thing, if we're requiring the directors to all, once they submit, they're submitting these expenses that they know of, and they're signing the document. If they have to sign the cover sheet that we create, they would have to come in. Or there would be an additional step where the people that aren't in City Hall would actually have to come to the office and sign it, or we'd have to fax it them and fax it back to each department head. So I mean, I think that's probably why initially they never had them, as long as I know, they hadn't had them sign it directly. They told them
Okay.
sign the invoices.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now,
Director Jawad.
Comptroller, I have you next on the list. Did you have something else to say? Because I put everybody on list as they raise their hands, and I want to remind everybody, raise your hand once. When I lower it, I've written your name down on a
I'm
list.
sorry. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yep, sorry.
We've been away from Zoom for a little bit, so got to refresh everybody.
I'm all set. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, I have Corporate Counsel Miyake.
Yes, just briefly. So to dovetail on what Mr. Jamal said, the idea is that it is not required under the charter for these things to be signed off on with the document you've seen, but he's correct in stating that it may be something that you wish to have as part of your standard procedures, even if it is not required legally. And just to clarify again, legally, I think that whatever has been necessary has been met by virtue of the mayor putting the item onto the agenda. And that's all that's required under the charter. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on fund transfers? I'm sorry, Councilman Muscat, I do have you down here. I apologize.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I just, we can go, I'd like to see just at least go back where the comptroller signs the name, initials it, and verifies that verifies to us that invoice was signed by the director. By him putting his name, his initials on it, makes it an official to us that document was signed. It eliminates a step. People are coming into the office, going back and forth. I think we can eliminate a step and hurry the process up.
Madam Chair,
Thank you. Councilman Abdul-Haq?
I remember that mayor assistant used to initial for those directors, if that is easier.
Oops, Mayor, go ahead, please.
Okay, again, if you guys look at the backup, which is it's actually attached. So if you look at the sheet that is signed, look at the backup. Every one of them has a director's concurrence. So they have we're doing it twice now. If you ask to do the cover sheet, so if you look at the backup, which is already attached in your packet, it shows that the director already initialed it. So I don't know if you guys missed, the council missed that discussion.
So on some of these, Mr. Mayor, some of these are good copies, some of these are bad copies, some of these are different people's scribbles and signatures. I don't know who's what and what's where. So to me, it's so much, that's the system we've used. If we're gonna get away from the system, hey, then let's all, if that's the direction we all wanna go, that's fine. But that's the system that's always been used. And that's why I brought this up. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion before we vote on this? At this time, we are voting on fund transfers and current claims. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. I'm sorry, let's take a vote again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Okay, I need to take a roll call vote. Councilman Muscat,
Yeah.
Councilman Constant,
Yes.
Councilman Abdul-Haq,
Yes.
Councilman Abdullah,
No.
Councilman Baydoun,
Yes.
Councilman Wenzel,
Yes.
Malinowski, yes, this does pass. Next item is consideration of bids. This is ordinance enforcement and animal control director dish room bid award for court order demolition of garage located at 4459 McKinley.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council award the bid for the court ordered demolition of the garage at 4459 McKinley to Olson Cement Works in the amount of $3,000 as they are the lowest qualified bidder. Upon approval of the contract, they will test the structure for hazardous materials and provide proof of the same. The additional cost of testing will be approximately $350. The homeowner is responsible for any bills since this is a subject of a court order. In addition, authorize the comptroller's office to return all bid bonds to the unsuccessful bidders. Furthermore, authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign the warrant and the treasurer to issue payment from the general fund bank account as outlined in item 7A.
Support.
Okay, any discussion?
Support.
Who support?
Councilman Abdul-Haq, support. Any discussion?
Council Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
So I had a question for our attorney, Gary Miyake. And this particular question is in regards to hazardous materials. I do know that we're paying $350 to be tested. And I'm speaking in terms of the legalese. I just want to make sure we have ourselves covered here. Because it says, Olson Cement Works, upon approval of the contract, and this is where I'm questioning, will test the structure for hazardous materials and provide proof of the same. So all this says from a legal standpoint is it says that they will test. This does not say whether, if they find it this way or that way, what's to happen. It just says that they will test. This does not say that this could be, what the next step would be. Testing it could pass or fail. So if it passes or it fails, they've done their end of the motion. I just want to make sure, is that good enough? Because to me, it doesn't seem like that would be good enough. Thank you.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair.
Councilman Abdelhak?
I want to know too, are they certified by the state or any authority to work with hazardous material?
Okay. Who are you directing that towards, Councilman?
To the controller.
Okay. Controller, go ahead, please.
Why the controller?
Yeah, hi, that wouldn't, I'm not knowledgeable in that specific, the company that's working. I don't know, you might want to ask the department that submitted it.
That's Bill Dishroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ordinance.
That's ordinance.
Hey, if Bill
Dishroom,
Dishram was in here, if you could raise your hand, that will bring you to the beginning so we can have you
Madam-
answer that for us.
Madam Chair,
He's not here
Councilman?
today.
Gary
looking for-
Miyake, the city attorney, is raising his
Yeah.
hand.
Okay. Oh, you need to use the hand. If you don't, we can't see you. Hold on a minute. It's not working.
No, you were not unmuting me. I wasn't calling. I was being asked the question by Councilman Abdullah. I was. Words, if they end up doing testing and it turns out that there will be additional work that needs to be done, I would expect that that would be a material change in the agreement and they would stop at that juncture.
My concern is being presumptuous. I get that, but I'm just, my concern is being presumptuous because this just says that they will test it, and that's all it says.
Yes, well, then I guess you could end up referring it back to the administration if there is a belief that there is a concern. I would normally want that issue to be addressed by Ordinance Enforcement Director Dishroom,
Okay,
because he's more familiar with this.
Okay, is Director Dishram in here? Please raise your hand so you come to the first page. We're directing a question towards you, sir.
Council Chair, he is not here today.
Okay, is there
Chief of
somebody
Staff-
taking his place?
Yeah, Chief of Staff Hernandez is
Chief of
raising it.
Staff.
Okay, is she taking his place today?
Yes, I apologize. I
Okay,
just wanted
I
to
didn't
step in
realize.
on. He's on vacation this week, so he didn't
He was
attend
on
this.
vacation.
This is the second time that we're presenting the demolition to the honorable. And the reason it had been referred back to the administration was precisely because of the same question that you're referring to now, to which Mr. Dishroom did contact the company and verify that they would do the testing if necessary and would stop if there's any findings in the property. Again, this was part of a bid process, and in the bid, we did have the agreements there. So I do see here, we don't have the bid package that went out. It's just the actual response from the awarded party. But again, it is the second time we're presenting it, and Mr. Dishroom did confirm that they would stop everything. And just to clarify the question about the certifications, they were, everyone that we requested bids from had to be certified. And that was addressed at the previous meeting where we presented this.
Hey,
Thank you.
Corporate Counsel Miyake, did you have anything more to add to that?
Then I believe that would end up addressing the question that Councilman Abdullah had, and would basically show that I think this is sufficient given the fact that there's an understanding that the work would stop if they discover any asbestos. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Councilman Muscat.
Yes, I was going to say that we discussed this the last time this was on the agenda, and I do remember that. And again, all the homeowners are going to be responsible for any bills that come up. So when they stop and bring the professionals in, they're going to pay anyway. We discussed that thoroughly the last time this was on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on this? Once again, we are voting on 7A. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, under reports from mayor, we have Ecorse Creek Commission appointments.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat,
I move the Dearborn Heights City Council concur with the mayoral appointments of Loretta Reichart and John Zadikian to the Ecorse Creek Commission, terms to expire January 2nd, 2024, as outlined in 8A.
Support.
supported by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have annual St. Linus Festival Bike and Blade Parade, Saturday, September 11th, 2021.
Madam Chair.
Chair.
Councilman Baydoun,
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the request from St. Linus Catholic Church to hold the annual St. Linus Festival Bike and Blade Parade on Saturday, September 11th, 2021 at 12 p.m. as outlined in 8B.
Support.
Support.
supported by Councilman Abdul Haq. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under reports from city officials, we have Chief of Staff Hernandez approval of future telephone payments.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant,
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the future payments to be made to BSB Communications, Inc., in addition to authorize the mayor and the comptroller to sign future warrants and expend these payments from the necessary general government accounts. In addition, to authorize the treasurer to issue payment from the general fund bank account as billed periodically, not to exceed $188,223.67 as detailed in City Council Motion 16-438 as outlined in 9A.
Support.
supported by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdul Haq.
I would like if somebody can explain to me and to the public what this is about. What this service is for the city.
Okay, let's ask Chief of Staff Hernandez. Go ahead, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. So this service is pretty much our maintenance of our phones all over the city. So it used to be by a previous company. As you see, it merged with BSB Communications. That's why the name is changing from Suntel to BSB Communications. But what they do is that every time that we have an equipment failure, for example, this last month when there was some flooding and water damage in the treasurer's office, we had to replace a few of the phones that got wet. So they're the company that provides that service and provides that equipment anytime that there is a maintenance issue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Comptroller Jawad, budget amendments.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat,
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve for year 2020 and 2021 budget amendments as attached to Table A as outlined in 9B.
Support.
supported by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdul Haq.
I have some questions to the human resource about the police and fire. What do you call it? Fringe benefits. How much we are paying this year more than last year, and why, and what this fringe benefit include?
Okay, so part of this fringe benefit involves an additional calculation that we worked out with the comptroller's office, in particular Deputy Comptroller Shantae Williams. So I know she's not here, but maybe even Badri could help explain some of it. So fringe benefits includes not only the actual healthcare benefits, which we have broken out down to a T, also life insurance, any sort of like workers' comp, payments, unemployment taxes, fringe benefits also includes like your FICA taxes as well. So there's quite a bit in fringe benefits then beyond healthcare.
Why the increase from last year?
So I can't speak to with regard, so the healthcare benefits were pretty much status quo. I believe one of the biggest issues was that, and maybe Badri could address this with regards to the deference of Social Security, that we deferred Social Security due to COVID. This is one of the relief packages that the federal government had offered to employers. And so we did not have to pay our regular obligation. That then sunsetted, so to speak. And so then the city was responsible for making up the difference. And not the difference, but paying it back to the federal government. He also nodded his head during that. So that would explain most of your increase. You will, of course, because of you're well aware of the unemployment insurance rates, I'm sure have gone up across the country. That is true for the state of Michigan, or our portion. In addition to workers' comp benefits, COVID exposures were covered under workers' comp for first responders, and that would include police and fire.
And you have longevity 501,000.
Longevity.
Is that an increase of $500,000 in longevity?
So longevity, again, this would be something that would be calculated by the either deputy comptroller or comptroller themselves. Now, one thing I'll say is, as you know, we've hired in batches. And so it's very possible that the increase is related to those employees now getting that tenure in which they would be entitled to longevity. I didn't provide that calculation, but that's just, I would guess, a little bit of an insight into that number.
Who did the calculation, Shante?
So longevity is usually a comptroller's office function. So whether it was Mr. Jawad or Deputy Comptroller Shante Williams.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bella, go ahead, please. Councilman Abdullah?
I didn't have them all set.
Okay, because I had you on the list, sorry. Okay, any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Comptroller Jawad, transfer of funds.
Madam Chair?
Council Chair,
Okay,
Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the transfer of $444,900 from the general fund bank account to general government employees 115 trust fund bank account. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign the warrants and the treasurer to make the transfer as outlined in 9C.
Support by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, I have that was C. Next, under D, we again have Comptroller Jawad, transfer of funds.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the transfer of $1,062,233 from the general fund bank account to the police and fire OPEB trust bank account. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign the warrants and the treasurer to make the transfer as outlined in 9D.
Support by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Conrad, approval to dispose of old furniture.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the disposal of old and unusable furniture from City Hall as provided in communication as outlined in 9E.
Support.
Support by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Baydoun?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And I usually ask this anytime that we, anytime we dispose of these furnitures, I always ask, are these old furniture that can be donated? I know Councilman Muscat has went down there and seen some of the furniture. If it is, I ask that we please donate that to a nonprofit. If not, then we can go ahead and, dispose of them properly.
I support that.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on this?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Baydun?
I'm sorry, can we actually ask the director if those are to properly be disposed or not?
Can the director raise their hand? Because they're lost in here somewhere. Like I said, we have 3 pages of participants.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdul Haq?
yeah, I've been to the basement many times. Some of those furniture, really, they can be donated. They still in good shape somehow.
I'm sure.
Yes, we will. Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Yes, so we will look for somebody to donate those to if we can find somebody.
And if you want to be in contact with me, I can help connect you with some people.
Okay, very good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Conrad, Purchase and Payment, Building and Maintenance Department Equipment, Smithco Sweeper 60.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat,
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of one Smithco Sweeper 60 from JW Turf in the amount of $43,468.30. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign a warrant upon receipt and treasurer to this issue payment from the Building and Maintenance Capital Outlay, account number 101-265-981.000 as outlined in 9F.
Support.
supported by Councilman Abdul Haq. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
our resident came up and spoke about these items at the beginning of the meeting, and we couldn't comment. But just to let people know that the creek is the responsibility of the county. We cannot go in there and start dredging the county, and to buy a backhoe to do so would be useless. The county would never let us do it. We can't do it. And you know, here's a sweeper right here that you know, we all want it. These are the things that the services that the city needs, and without proper equipment, as a guy that, you know, I did this for a living myself, without the proper tools, you can't do the job. And I've seen some of the equipment that the DPW have, and it's pretty ragged compared to, you know, and we started purchasing some new ones under John Selmy. And if you look at this stuff and been aware of what's been going on the last 15 years, these are being charged to the correct department. They're not being bought by water department funds like they used to. So I'm happy to see this the way it's being done. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. You're on the list. Councilman Wenzel, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. Director Conrad, if this is approved, how soon could a sweeper be delivered to the city of Detroit, Dearborn Heights?
That information I don't have. They really require our PO before they can give us a firm delivery date. So obviously things are at a premium and are difficult to acquire in some cases. So I'm not exactly sure on the delivery date for the sweeper, but I can check as soon as we get a PO and give everybody an update.
Something by springtime or a year does it take to get them, or what?
I'm not exactly sure I'm not familiar with this type of sweeper. I mean, this is a leaf sweeper. We're replacing a 25-year-old piece of equipment. And it's basically for our parks and grounds. So I'm hoping that this type of equipment is more available than, you know, the street sweepers and pickup trucks and other things that are very difficult to get. I don't think this requires any fancy computer chips to run.
Okay, now you said that for parks and grounds, so this is not a street sweeper?
No, this is not a street sweeper. Not for $45,000.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is it an attachment to something, or is it drivable, or what is?
This is a leaf sweeper that they use to pick up all the leaves around the city grounds and park systems when fall hits.
Okay, so hopefully we'll get it by fall.
I'm hoping as well.
Okay.
I can't make any promises, but that would be our intent, to acquire this by fall.
Okay, all right. Does it have like a mulching system connected to it?
No, I think I'm not familiar with this entirely, but I think it's just a fingering system that loads the leaves and things into a container that allows us to dump it into a truck to haul it away. So it's a little different than a vacuum system.
Is this you that's asking it, or is it building maintenance that's asking for it, or who?
This is building maintenance, yes, and it's replacing replacing a current model. It's actually the same company that we currently have been using for the last 25 years with good success. And the other one is just costing us too much to maintain and operate. It's going to be better to replace it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Councilman Abdullah.
Council Chair, I just want to say that I do understand the residents' concern about buying a lot of new items, and I also concur with the residents as far as doing whatever we can as a city to take care of the Ecorse Creek situation. It's definitely a devastating situation that all of us need to continue to work on. But I do want to say that I did speak with the director, and I was concerned about, so much new equipment being bought right now since we bought some last year. He did explain to me, which made a lot of sense, that we buy them in increments. If we're going to change, he had mentioned that at another entity that he was a part of, everything was changed all at once. So when you buy all new equipment, then 10 years, 15 years from now, you got to change them all at once and spend a mega amount of dollars all at once. So instead, he brings them out in increments, and this way there's no major charge to the city all at once. And so I agreed with him in this particular case, and I hope and pray that obviously he's doing a lot of his due diligence. But I also had mentioned, God rest his soul, with Mayor Paletko when he was the mayor. I'd asked for it at the time, and I'd like to ask our current mayor, Bazzi, to continue to do their own due diligence with the directors when they ask for something. Because needless to say, as council members, we can't go look at every piece of equipment to make sure if it's good or bad. That's not what I do. I tell you that much. That's not what I do for a living. So I'd like to hope that there's checks and balances to make sure that we're not just getting new equipment just because it's cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Next I have Councilman Baydoun.
Madam Chair, my question was answered. Thank you.
Councilman Abdul Haq.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Why this is a single source?
So they give these distributorships to certain sellers with each state. So, I mean, we could get a second quote, but it'd come from Ohio or Indiana. It's just that they are the sole supplier for this piece of equipment for the state of Michigan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Conrad, Purchase and Payment, Building and Maintenance Department Equipment, JLG2. That's a two-person. I'm not done, please. That's a two-person aerial lift with trailer. Councilman Baydoun.
Council Chair.
Yeah, are you calling on me, Madam Chair?
Yes, I am. Go ahead, please.
I didn't raise my hand.
I did, Council Chair.
Okay, Councilman Abdullah.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of one JLG ES 2632 two-person aerial lift with trailer from Herc Rentals in the amount of $25,114.51. This purchase will be made under the OMNIA Partners Purchasing Program number 201-9000318. In addition, authorize the mayor and the controller to sign a warrant upon receipt and the treasurer to issue payment from the building and maintenance capital outlay account number 101-265-981 period 000 as outlined in item 9G.
Support by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair.
I have Councilman Wenzel. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, the director, is this a used piece of equipment?
No, it's not.
We're buying it from a rental company?
They were the I mean, it's Hertz Equipment. I'm sure they're rental and sales. They were the cooperative low bid for this, but it is a new piece of equipment.
The scissor lift?
Yes.
Scissor lift? Okay.
JLG's a service.
JLG makes all kinds of lifts.
Well, JLG's usually a telescope. Scissor
Yeah.
lift-
Yeah, it's a two-person that, you know, will fit through a door.
Yeah.
So it can be used on the interior of a building. And basically, like it says, it's a two-person lift. Right now, we have just a one-person lift. And when we have a heavy object in the air, we end up having to use a ladder, someone on a ladder, which isn't very safe. So being able to put two people in a lift to do some of these heavier jobs where someone has to hold something while it's being fastened or repaired will be beneficial. We have been renting these in the past, and the decision was made to purchase one instead of continue with the rental program.
Do we use them that often where we have to own one spending it, or is it more cost effective to own it? And what about it's, you know, rental, it's free.
I am, you know, to a certain extent on this one, I have to refer to, you know, the previous director and my building maintenance staff that, you know, have recommended this purchase. So, I mean, these things were partially in the works prior to me arriving here. So I'm kind of, you know, I agree with their need for this lift, and I have to trust in their knowledge and use of the equipment in their daily activities that this is a good purchase to move forward.
And this lift is solely for indoor use, right? Or on outside on concrete? Not.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, right, we couldn't use it for tree trimming or anything like that. No, this is basically for you know, close proximity, you know, work where we're on good level surfaces, basically building maintenance type activities.
Thank you.
Mike Blackburn, how often do we use a lift like this?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
This lift will be used quite often. We have rented, as Director Conrad has said, we have rented the lifts in the past to do work. It will also replace another piece of equipment that we use right now. In the apparatus room at the fire stations, when we have to change light bulbs and do stuff up high, we have a mini boom truck. The truck is 30 years old. The boom is almost 20 years old. There's going to be a time when that's not going to be certified no more. That gets certified every year. And the fact that I don't like to have the truck has to be running inside the garage. This makes it easier. There's tight spots at the libraries that our current one-man lift, we can only get so close, and we have to use a ladder for a second person to do jobs. This will make it easier where both employees can get on one piece of equipment, get right to where they need to do. It will be used quite a bit too. And our one-man lift is close to 20 years old, and that gets certified every year. And there's going to be a time when that's not certified no more. And then instead of getting another one-man lift, I'd rather have this two-man lift.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. We have Librarian McCaffrey wanted to say something. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to concur with Mike Blackburn. We have a number of lights that constantly need repair, both at CK and at JFK, and they're very heavy fixtures that often have to get replaced. It's really tough to have one guy on this boom lift and he's reaching in and he's alone.
It's a lot safer to have two people and have a better structure for that. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that.
Thank you. Councilman Abdullah,
I didn't raise my hand. I'm all set.
Councilman Muscat,
Yeah, this scissor lift, is that gonna come with any training and harnesses, so we are OSHA compliant?
If
I
it
guess that's-
doesn't, I will make sure it does.
Yeah, because that's important, though. That's a little bit different than a one-man lift, and with the extensions and everything that goes on with it, everybody needs to be trained properly.
thank you.
Right.
Next, I have Councilman Abdul Haq.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My same question. I see we bought this trailer from Minnesota, manufacturer in Minnesota. Is there any reason we didn't look for something in Michigan?
So we're buying it off a cooperative. You know, I mean, if we do go out to bid ourselves, I can't guarantee we'll get the same price. This is a cooperative bid that was, you know, determined to be low by others. So.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Baydun,
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is, with the older equipment, are we going to be sending these to an auction? And if so, do we know as soon as we get the new machine and people are properly vetted, will we then send it to the auction, and will the council be notified with that?
If we do dispose of the piece of equipment, we'll definitely be notifying. Usually with new equipment, I like to get it through like a 6-month to 9-month trial period, make sure we don't have any warranty issues before we get rid of our secondary piece of equipment. So yes, I mean, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the equipment we have around the DPW. So, I mean, things that aren't being used, I will be disposing of in the future.
And I also just want to add on, I know when the former DPW director, John Salmi, was here, I had a friend who worked for MDOT. He saw a Bobcat in the middle of Detroit and it had the emblem on there. I called John Salmi. He said, "Oh, we sold it, but we forgot to remove the Dearborn Heights City logo on the emblem or on the Bobcat." And so if we do dispose of that or send it through, just make it, just reminding us that we do need to remove those, please.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar. In my previous position, we removed and scalped all the labels and decals off of everything.
Thank you so much.
thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Conrad, purchase and payment, building and maintenance department equipment to 2023 Ford F-450 box truck with lift gate.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Baydun,
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of one 2023 Ford F-450 box truck with lift gate from Gorno Ford in the amount of $52,476. The purchase will be made under the Michigan Deal Purchase Program. In addition, authorize the mayor and the comptroller to sign the warrant upon receipt and the treasurer to issue payment from the building and maintenance capital outlay account 101-265-981 as outlined in 9H.
Support. Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Conrad, purchase and payment, building and maintenance department equipment, 2022 F-250 pickup truck with snowplow.
Madam Chair,
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah,
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of one 2022 Ford F-250 pickup truck with snowplow from Gorno Ford in the amount of $44,885. This purchase will be made under the MI Deal Purchasing Program. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign a warrant upon receipt and the treasurer to issue payment from the building and maintenance capital outlay account 101-265-981 period 000 as outlined in item 9I.
Support.
supported by Councilman Muscat. Councilman Wenzel, you have a question?
Yes, can someone explain to the residents listening, when these payments are coming out of capital outlay, exactly what that means? Some people might think we're adding additional funds to the account. Who could explain that?
Councilman Proton did a good job when he explained it to me when I first started.
Council Chair.
Councilman Abdullah, did you want to say?
Well, I mean, all it basically is in simple terms is these items have been budgeted from the beginning of the year. They brought it over to the city council and proposed department by department. They're going to need, hypothetically, in this particular case, DPW, they're going to need 200,000 for this equipment. They're going to need 150,000 for this, et cetera, et cetera. Then we as a council approve those items. Once we approve those items, then they go out and buy them later on in that year, but it had been accounted for in the beginning as a part of the budget. That's simple, plain English term.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Councilman Muscat?
Yeah, again, just because we approve them in the budget doesn't mean that we have to approve them later on. We still could say no, but obviously when the equipment is needed, you say yes, or else work just stops and it does. And then we get the phone call, say, well, how come my street wasn't plowed? So, but that's how that goes as far as the capital outlay.
Thank you.
Question before we vote on this?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
If you don't mind, somebody from our either department heads or controller or whoever, I think for the residents, they should understand what MI deal is, because in general, and I can see how some residents get concerned. Why are we just taking one bid? You know how it is the best deal out there, and it's negotiated on behalf of all of us for all the cities in the state. So maybe somebody can explain that a little bit further in details for the residents, so that they don't think we're just making one bid and buying it.
Director Conrad, did you want to explain that to them?
Sure. The My Deal is a cooperative, which is put up through the state of Michigan, where they go out and they solicit hundreds of bids throughout the state for particular pieces of equipment, or actually any item. I mean, if you're buying a catch basin or a piece of guardrail, even, that's all on a cooperative bid. And these are considered the best prices. They've shopped around to all the dealers and vendors in the area for these prices. So we're assured when we purchase something from My Deal that is the best deal going this year.
Right.
And it, basically, it's always been the best option for equipment purchases and material purchase that I've found in my experience working with municipal items.
And I just want to add, if you don't mind, Council Chair.
Sure, go ahead.
Fairly similar to, like, let's say Costco buying, I don't know, bread from a bread maker. They can buy in masses and pre-agree at a much cheaper price, because that bread maker is able to sell them to a lot more people. So same thing in this particular case, when they agree to sell it to all the cities in Michigan for a much cheaper price, but that particular company's expectations, they're selling a lot more. So they're getting a lot more quantity, then they're able to give it at a much cheaper price. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Conrad, purchase and payment, building and maintenance department equipment for a 2022 Ford F-550 dump truck with plow and spreader.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
I move the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of one 2022 Ford F-550 dump truck with plow and spreader from Gonor Ford in an amount of $69,876. This purchase will be made under the My Deal purchasing program. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign warrants upon receipt and the treasurer to issue payment from the highway capital outlay account number 101-440-981.000 as outlined in 9K.
Support.
Support by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion?
9J or 9K?
9K.
That's 9K.
What about 9J?
9J.
We were on J.
I'm sorry, 9J. Yes, it's 9J. Who said, I'm sorry, who said K?
That was
9J.
my fault. And let me get the count number correct.
Okay.
101-265-981.000 is like outlined in 9J, and the price is $68,876.
Support.
by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. We are now on 9K. DPW Director Conrad, purchase and payment of Highway Department equipment for a 2022 Ford F-550 dump truck with plow and spreader.
Madam
Madam
Chair,
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant,
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of one 2022 Ford F-550 dump truck with plow and spreader from Gorno Ford in the amount of $69,876. This purchase will be made under the MI Deal Purchasing Program. In addition, authorize the mayor and the comptroller to sign the warrant upon receipt and the treasurer to issue payment from the Highway Capital Outlay account 101-440-981-000 as outlined in 9K.
support by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Grants and Budget Compliance Director Jamal. Approval to rescind motion 21-350, which is demolition oversight and administration contract.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat,
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council rescind motion 21-350 as it is a duplicate for approved motion 21-379 for the demolition oversight and administration contract with environmental testing and consulting. Motion 21-379 includes the agreement as prepared and approved by the City Assistant Corporation Counsel, Attorney Harry Calagarakis. Good Greek guy, as outlined in 9L.
Ramilis Calagarakis.
support by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Police Chief Myers purchase and payment for Trimble TDC 600 Trimble Reveal Dongle License.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah,
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of Trimble TDC 600 Trimble Reveal Dongle license from Sealer Geospatial in the amount of $8,041. In addition, authorize the mayor and controller to sign the warrant and the treasurer to issue payment from the police capital outlay account 101-300-981.000 as outlined in item 9M.
Support.
support by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdul Haq,
I want to thank the chief of police and the police department for buying all kind of equipments, basically to upgrade our police department. And thank him for what they're doing.
Kudos
thank you.
to the chief as well.
Yes.
Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Police Chief Myers purchase and payment for a live scan system.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Baydoun,
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of a live scan system in the amount of $20,545.55 with $19,511 to be paid out of the JAG grant funds 101-300-981.056 and $1,034.55 to be paid from the police contractual service account. In addition, authorize the mayor and the controller to sign the warrant and treasurer to issue payment from the general funds cash account as outlined in 9N.
Support.
support by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Madam
All those in
Chair-
favor? I'm sorry, go, who was that?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Councilman Baydoun.
Can we just hear from the chief a little bit on this and just kind of go over about what this is? So that the residents and, people at home watching can understand this.
Sure.
Go ahead. I'm going to take a quick break here. Go ahead.
Thank you, Council Chair. So the live scan system is what's called an AFIS, automatic fingerprint identification system. This is the machine that whether you're currently a lot of people do it publicly when they go get a background check done. You no longer use ink. They're sending it through a computer system. Here at the police department, we use it for that, but we also use it for our arrest records. So that live scan system is part of our Clemis network. So we can hook into the FBI system, and now fingerprints, if we don't know who somebody is, or if somebody's newly getting their fingerprints, they end up in the federal database. And that system is the state-of-the-art system that the federal government has us using to compile all fingerprint data across the United States. So every city is required to have one now.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay.
I'm back.
Okay.
Hold on. Yes.
We're on the next item,
Oh,
9-0.
too many iced teas today. Okay. Any further discussion before we vote on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Police Chief Myers purchase and payment evidence room cameras.
Madam
Madam
Chair.
Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
All right. 9-0. I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of evidence room cameras from DA Central in the amount of $2,024.34. This project will be paid out of the JAG grant funds 101-300-981 period 056. In addition, authorize the mayor and controller to sign the warrant and the treasurer to issue payment from the general funds cash account as outlined in item 9-0.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion?
Madam
Madam
Chair.
Chair,
Chief has his hand up.
Okay, let's let the chief go first.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to give you an update. So these additions to these cameras, part of our accreditation process that we're now in the middle of. So last year, you authorized us to go through the accreditation process. There's a fee to it. But during the accreditation process, every aspect of law enforcement is reviewed to meet the standards of the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police accreditation system. And some of that entails evidence room management and security. So doing a structural review of our system, we found that we didn't have the proper coverage in those areas, and these cameras are going to add to that so we can pass our accreditation. So that's the reason for these additional cameras being added to the system that we already have.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Anybody have any questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Director Hashem. This is agreement HI-00515R of 20515R.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the city council approve a motion authorizing the mayor to accept and sign on behalf of the city of Dearborn Heights the funding approval agreement HI-00515R of 20515R signed by the HUD Detroit Field Office CPD Director, Mr. Keith Hernandez, on July 30th, 2021, in the amount of $1,035,433 as outlined in item 9P.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdul.
if Mr. Hashem or the mayor can explain what this money is about,
Which one would you prefer to answer that?
Joe Hashem would be fine.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Councilman. What this is basically an agreement for our budget. This is the money that CDBG received on a yearly basis. And once we go through the paperwork, we receive the application. There's a couple of forms that we already went to City Council, and the mayor was kind enough to sign those and send it back to HUD. This is another letter that we received from them, which is the acceptance of the grant, the block grant itself, which is in the amount of $1,035,433. So this is our budget for the year.
Do we have this money already or we expecting it?
once the mayor signs this letter, we will scan it, send it to HUD, and then the money should be coming. I want to say sometime in mid-September to mid-October. That's
Okay,
up to the federal
thank you,
government.
Director.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have new business. This is the business license renewal for Anthony's All Car and Truck Sales LLC located at 20032 Van Born.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Baydun.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council renew the business license of Anthony's All Car and Truck Sales LLC at 20032 Van Born as outlined in 13A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have comments from council members.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Wenzel.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of myself and my family, we'd like to express our condolences to the family of Mike Mackey, great resident of the city of Dearborn Heights, great man, does a lot for the city. He lost his mother recently, the past few days, and I just want to express that our hearts go out to him and his family. So sorry for hearing Mike's loss. Also, we have to look into hiring more ordinance officers full-time. We got to set something up to do this. The guys we got out there right now are overtaxed. They're doing everything they can, and we have to rehaul our whole ordinance, not department, but the way we handle things. We have to give our ordinance officers more authority to clean up things, clean up yards and businesses, and shut businesses down if they don't comply. The way it goes through now, the court system takes months, sometimes even a year to get someone to comply with an ordinance violation. Very, very upsetting to see these guys do this hard work and issuing these violations and checking out these properties. And they spend so much time in court, and a lot of times the issue gets solved and then it pops up again. So we have to have more authority to administer drastic measures to these violators quicker. And I don't know what we have to do something. We have to set up some kind of special meeting or study session with the ordinance officers, ordinance department, but everyone knows it's out of hand. The grass, the blight, everything. We got to, these guys are out there busting their butts, and we got to give them some power to show their authority and carry out these violations. So I want to propose that we do a study session on that real quick. I mean, this is going on. Every council member that's in this meeting right now almost daily gets a call about an ordinance violation, and everybody can testify to that. I had a GFL experience last Tuesday. 1 week ago tonight, I got a call from people on Catherine Street in Dearborn Heights in the South End. Their trash didn't get picked up, and they were concerned about it because a lot of the trash was bad food from the power outage. I called it in. The residents called it in. Nothing happened for a day or two. Then Wednesday came along. Then Thursday, we were assured it'd be picked up. Friday, nothing was done. Then we were assured that it'd be picked up over the weekend. Nothing was done. Last night, I went by there. These cans were sitting out there with rotted food in them for a week and smells terrible. And these guys had no place to put their trash for this past week because their cans were full. And we just got to do something about this. We can't be talking about it anymore. We got to take some kind of action. And I just got a text message before the meeting that they came by and they picked up some of the rubbish, but not the yard waste or the recycling. So, I mean, these residents, and we're all residents here on city council, we all experience this. And this got to stop. I mean, this is ridiculous. And one other thing that I've got to touch on, our last meeting, I left the meeting in the middle of it because of an issue I had with the way the meeting was going. A local newspaper said that I left the meeting for a family matter, which couldn't be further from the truth. As a matter of fact, I left the family function to attend the meeting. And as soon as I walked in the door, I noticed it wasn't set up for social distancing whatsoever. I made sure I sat in a position 6 feet away from the other members at the table. I wore my mask, and it even took a while before we even got to the first item for discussion, item 8A, an opinion letter. Then the circus started. It quickly went off topic. Statements had nothing to do with item 8A. It was embarrassing to be sitting at the front table. I asked for point of order several times. I even made the motion to adjourn 3 times, but it was not recognized. I asked myself, what the heck am I doing here? My time, along with everyone else's time, including the residents, is valuable. City council meetings are for items of city council agenda, not the type of things that were being read. Residents come to meetings and watch them on TV to learn about city business, not to waste their time listening to such foolishness. It went on till it reached a point where I could not take it anymore, and I walked out. I didn't leave the meeting for a family function, like I said in the newspaper. I just wanted to make that clear. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Councilman Abdullah.
Madam Chair, I have a couple little issues or concerns. Let me go through the quick ones first. The first one is I visited the water billing department, and I'm gonna look into this a little bit further, but I have some strong concerns that there's not enough help over there. I do recognize it from getting different people that have complained over the years. You know, when they call over there, there's not enough people answering the phones. And then part of the reason they have 2 lines going with 8 people calling. There's just not enough human beings in there to be able to answer all these phones. In addition to that, there were some concerns after I spoke with them today about some things that are not being repaired, et cetera, because there's just not enough people that work in that particular department. So I'd like to ask our administration, and I'm gonna look into it as much as I could, but I'd like to ask the mayor and his administration to look into this, because we may need to maybe increase our budget there or just add additional help or maybe part-timers there, because that's a very serious concern with things that I spoke with them about today. Second thing is with GFL, we're getting consistent complaints. I do understand the situation as far as employees and employment is concerned. That's a problem throughout the United States based on this pandemic, but nevertheless, the ball is being dropped on a pretty consistent basis lately in my neighborhood and many other people's neighborhoods. And I've had many emails come into me, people asking, why is the garbage not being picked up? I do know administration is doing everything within their powers to make sure that these things are corrected, T's are crossed, I's are dotted, but there's just way too many complaints. And we were promised that things would change. We try to be as understandable as possible, but at the end of the day, the service is just not happening properly. So I'd like to continue to push to have additional estimates done, like the mayor's department proposed. I'm sorry, request for proposals. So we do consider other companies. And at this particular point, I'm definitely swaying that way.
Thank you.
I got one more thing.
Okay, because I think the mayor wanted to comment on something you
Oh,
said.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Council Pro Tem. So the first one with the staffing, we had a job fair, first time ever probably, with the city of Dearborn Heights. We had it on a couple Saturdays ago. And we had pretty much every department there. You know, our HR director was hosting it. The Chief Brogan was there. Police was there. Also, we had DPW there. And let me see who else. We had somebody that was actually covering for the clerk's office, because I know they were looking for poll workers as well. So out of the hours that we were there, I think 10 people showed up, only 10 people. And out of the 10 people, I don't know how many actually qualified or submitted applications for the employment. So we have a few positions posted. We encourage you or anybody, if you know anybody's looking for a job, you know, go on the city website, to the HR department website, and also look at job opportunities and apply, or even stop here in person, pick up an application. So we are hiring. And the question that, okay, I'll finish your question on GFL issue. I've met with Mr. Miyake actually yesterday, and we're talking about next steps with GFL. And, you know, as I mentioned at the last meeting, I appreciate, you know, for council members not to contact, you know, GFL, let the administrations deal with that, because we have some legal issues. We're looking at the contract, breaching the contract, and also for penalties. We have a list that we're compiling, and I can tell you we're spending at least 60 to 75% a day on just items, just trash items. So we have most of my staff here in the mayor's office. We're just answering phone calls, and also residents come here for concerns about GFL. And I noticed, I don't know, I don't want to put Councilman Baidoun on the spot, but, you know, when they were here, I know there was some stuff going on, you know, notes passing around, there was notes that were written, passed around, you know, when GFL was here. So I don't know what was going on with that one, but if he's not comfortable answering that question, I'm not gonna put him on the spot. But, you know, like I said, we're doing all our due diligence. We're trying to do everything for the residents with GFL. And if the council allows us, you know, to keep working on it, you know, Mr. Miyake, myself, and Mr. Gavin, we're in constant contact with GFL. We're looking at the contract, and we are going to put it out for bid. And that's, you know, it's, I don't know, I'm sure it's going to be in the next probably few weeks, you know, maybe shorter time. The only thing we're working on right now is, obviously we bought the bins. We want to make sure that whatever we put out for bids, that the new company will be able to handle picking up those bins that we purchased. I think
there was those, and then there's two more questions that I've got.
Go ahead, Councilman Abdullah.
So this next question is for our engineer, our city engineer, Ali Deeb. I stopped by the fire department on Beach Daily, and I am by no means an expert on construction or building materials, or how to build something, or how to take something apart. But what I do have is some experience in the real estate business, and through experience in the real estate business, or just even just a naked eye can see, I walked around the building with a couple of the firefighters, and I want to personally see the problem that's over there, as far as the structure and the construction of the building that's only 20 years old. And I was very, very concerned about the potential problems that we're going to have with that particular building, B, and most importantly, the safety of our firemen and women working there. I can tell you right now, I hate to say this, honestly, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable working in that building, because you got throughout the building, I was under the impression it was just like one little wall or one little ceiling that moved a little bit. Throughout the building, you've got, at the very minimum, off the top of my head, 10, 15 different spots where there's been movements of either walls or ceilings or floors. Yeah. Now I see it a lot every once in a while on one spot on a house when we're doing a private inspection, maybe two spots. And a lot of times it's recommended you tear that house down. I was really, really concerned for the safety of our residents. In addition to that, I'm really concerned about the major investment we've made in that building that may go for nothing. And who's going to be responsible for that? As far as, I hate to say fixing it, because I'm not even sure if it's even fixable. Honestly, for me, with my little knowledge, it seems like it's got to be torn down and start from scratch again. So I'd like to get Deeb's information on this, please.
Well, thank you, Councilman Pro Tem Abdullah. As you recall, this honorable council approved the building evaluation contract back in July of 2021 to a company called Partners in Architecture from Mount Clemens, Michigan. Now, this contract included full evaluation of the existing facility to determine exactly that, all available options to the city. And top among the tasks assigned to this company was the structural analysis to determine the safety of the existing structure. That was the number one priority.
So this contract is a 6 to 8 weeks effort. And it started back on the first week of August, and it will terminate and be completed the third week of September. So weekly progress meetings are currently underway every Tuesday, and progress reports are discussed in every meeting. As of this morning, and I'm going to quote now, as of this morning's progress meeting, the report indicated that the overall structure of the building remains stable, with all bearing points observed to be in good condition. So as of today, the structure appears to be fine. Structural members are doing what they're supposed to do. Now, that's not to say or minimize the issues that the facility is facing. We do have a lot of issues. And but safety of the occupants or the firefighters at this point is not a concern. Now, upon completion of this assessment, we will come to you with a full report and recommendations, as well as options and costs associated with the structure. So at this point, it appears to be that the repairs will be required, obviously. And as long as safety items remain acceptable, we should be good.
What was your opinion as far as being a second opinion in addition to this particular company? Because again, you got walls, ceilings.
Yes.
Floors,
So I actually reviewed.
And moving more
Yes.
than a half an inch or a crack. I'm talking about movement.
Yes. So I reviewed the structure before we hired the company. And I read all the reports that we did back in 17 and 18, as well as the original design. And it appears to be, the structure is fine. What the movement is this is a slab on grade. So we have floor heaving. And all the engineering investigations so far indicate that it's floor issues. Floor heaving due to either freeze and thaw cycle of water under the concrete, but the floor is heaving. So far, it has not impacted the structure itself. So we do have movement, like doors will not open. We have
Right.
settlements on outside wall. We have partition walls that are impacted. But as long as the issue, and then again, the number one was the structure itself. And we haven't found any evidence that structure is, or the occupants are in any danger so far.
My concern is, and I'm just going to talk about the elephant in the room when I was looking at that,
Yeah.
is God forbid, I hope not, that we don't have a Miami condo structure type of situation where they did have people from the city, and I'm not using this as a blame game, don't misunderstand me, but they did have people from the city look at it and they felt that, yeah, it's pretty sound, et cetera, et cetera. And next thing you know, unfortunately in Miami, the building came down and you had, I don't know the exact number of people that unfortunately passed. So I have some very, very serious concerns. And if we have to, I personally would be okay with even getting a third opinion if we had to, just to make sure that our firemen and firewomen are safe, because I have very serious concern with my naked eye and how little I know about structures.
Okay, I will stress that and continue to keep an eye on the evaluation process and concentrate on, like, again, the structure safety was the number one task. That was the first thing we started with.
Okay.
And so far, we'll keep an eye on that.
And the last thing, Council Chair, first of all, thank you for the firefighters for putting on the great event this last Saturday. Beautiful event, great event. You guys do that every single year. God bless you guys. We are so blessed to have you guys in our community because you guys do this all as volunteers. You take no money and you send 20, 30 kids to the burn camp. So God bless you guys. Actually, I gotta give you guys a hand. You guys are great. It's beautiful. Last thing, and I know another council member also has a concern, and I had a concern, and so I want to address it on my end, and I know another council member is going to address this. And with due respect to the mayor and the council chair, but at the last meeting, there was some very serious accusations that were put out in regards to water bills at one of the businesses in our area. And I know there was some serious concerns in terms of lawsuits, et cetera, and how much we could discuss it. But like I said at the last meeting, it's not out in the open. Whether it should have been, shouldn't have been said, I don't know. It's not for me to determine. Maybe our counselor, Jeremiah, can attest to that. But with that being the case, since it's out in the open, I'd like to know personally as a council member from the mayor what the answers to those questions are, because these are some serious concerns.
Dave,
And I just want-
Madam Chair, I will address this, and I did ask for extra time. So
But at this time, Councilman Abdullah has the floor. Go ahead, please. Mayor?
Oh, I thought you said Councilman Abdullah, so, okay. So to answer your question, Council Pro Tem, okay, again, I did not want to embarrass anybody, especially the one who brought this issue up, you know, and again, it was used for publicity. But I want to tell you, when I was appointed, I came in here in around January 26th or so. When I took this office, obviously the council chair at that time, she was a pro tem, mayor pro tem. On a desk, there was a letter from an attorney for that particular establishment. So that letter, basically, it was asking for the excessive amount of bill, and they need justification why it was for that amount. So it's just soon after, you know, I was reviewing the actual letter that was on the desk when I got here. So it was here for about 2 weeks or so, you know, before I got to this position, but before I was appointed. So obviously it was on the desk by that attorney's letter. And soon after we got a second letter. So at the time I actually, because it was a potential lawsuit and they were threatening, you know, because the first letter was not addressed by the council chair when she was a pro tem. So I got the second letter. So I immediately talked to Mr. Miyake and I asked him, you know, about the letter, you know, that there was potential lawsuit, you know, because, you know, we did not address the issue the issue was not addressed. So I had a meeting with the previous comptroller and I went back. So at the time that particular place was shut down, you know, by the state, you know, because of COVID. So they were getting excessive amount of bills for water. So I'm looking at the bill, you have like $169, $144, $285. So then you have one that says automatic, which is, you know, this is actual read. Then all of a sudden the bill jumped up to 40-something thousand dollars. So I had a meeting. Again, I didn't want to embarrass anybody, but since the council chair put it out there, I had a meeting with the staff here, with my comptroller, since he was in charge of my previous comptroller, not the current one. I asked the question, since he was in charge of the water department, I needed to find out exactly what this was for, and I need for it to be justified, because if I go in front of a judge, I want to be able to justify why the bill was for that amount. And nobody can actually tell me why this amount was for that amount. So kept going back and forth. I was giving a lot of silly answers to my question. One of them was that a previous person that was in our office told them to bill that amount. And I didn't think that was a good answer to answer a judge if I had to go in front of a judge for the city. So then I said, you got to go back and come back with an amount that I can actually, if I go in front of a judge to ask, if they ask me that I need to justify this bill, it was the previous comptroller went back. He had several meetings, you know, with whoever he had a meeting with, and he came back with an amount. And he said, this is the amount that can be justified. So I asked if he was sure. He said, yep, this is the amount that we can actually justify. So at that time, I gave the information to Mr. Miyake. Mr. Miyake got a hold of that attorney. And even that amount was not, you know, the attorney was not happy with that amount. It says it was still excessive. But, you know, it was still presented to the people from that establishment. And I didn't know what happened, but soon after, you know, I saw the person from that establishment walking out of the city hall, walking from the water department. I approached the person and I asked, you know, is everything okay? And the person said she paid that amount that was actually presented by the comptroller at the time. And that person was not happy with the amount. She said that it was still not justified, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pay it anyway. So that was the whole story. And anybody's making a big deal out of this is, again, they're using it for politicizing and, you know, embarrassing the people that work for the city.
Okay, so Mr. Mayor, so I want to understand correctly. So in summary, you're saying that there was basically, because I did also talk to you about it when I was first starting to hear, rumors or whatever you want to call it, talk of this thing. You're saying basically, you told me at the time, I just want to make sure I state this on record if you're okay with that, that we have no proof that that amount of water was used, and therefore we cannot charge them that amount. Is that pretty much the summary of what you just said?
Yes, you are correct, Council Chair Pro Tem, and I can tell you there was a lot of accusations that were made against the business by some people. Again, I'm not going to bring that up here because I don't want to open our city to a lawsuit, but those the only accusations against a certain, not just that business, against other businesses. And again, people should be very mindful when they make a statement on the city's behalf, make sure they know what they're talking about and they have exactly what happened before they say anything. Because when I first was appointed, and Mr. Miyake, he's right there, he can vouch for this. The first thing that I said to him, and I'm sure you guys know, when we have closed sessions, one thing I do not like is when I see lawsuits against the city or anything made that the city is liable for anything, any kind of lawsuit. So I told Mr. Miyake, the first thing I told him, I want to make sure there was a few lawsuits that were, on our desk. And I told him, I want these lawsuits to be looked at. I want to make sure that, we can, whatever settlements, if we have to settle or if we have to fight, you make sure you go look at those and make sure that, we don't want any lawsuits against the city. And that's my objective from day one. If there's anything that we can resolve, and make sure that we're not liable for, I'm gonna actually, make the call and not put our city at risk for any lawsuit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Baydun?
Hey, Madam Chair, thank you so much. I, like many of my colleagues, have a list of things here. I'll start off by saying congratulations to our Dearborn Heights Fire Department on the chili cook-off. It was an amazing event. Shout out to, I would believe it's Jamal Faraj, who did a phenomenal job. My second thing that I want to bring up is about the street sweepers. I know we say that we have some going out, and if Mr. Conrad is listening to this, you don't have to respond, but I would really like to start seeing a lot more street sweepers around the city. When residents ask me how come that's not coming in my house, or how often do they come out, I really don't got an answer. For example, my street, I can tell you, I've seen it once in the last 4 months. So I don't know how often they're supposed to come, but hey, you know the answer. I don't want to go back and forth, to be honest, to be candid with you guys. But if we can really go ahead and get some street sweepers out there, that's very important to me. Third, I have on here is Ecorse Creek. I know Mrs. Todd has spoken up on this. I've recently met with a resident who lives right there on the Ecorse Creek. I've reached out to the Ali Deeb, our city engineer. I've reached out to the mayor's office. I've reached out to Assad Turfi, our county commissioner, David Knizik. I've reached out to Assad Turfi, who is also the chief of staff for, Warren Evans. I want you guys to know what's happening there. It's just unacceptable. There's a huge branch. Everybody says they're going to get onto it. I know we don't want to air anything out, but I want you to know the resident is upset. People have called. The streets are flooding up. It's got to be fixed. One person says, oh, it's the county. DPW goes back, says, oh, I'm sorry. The county says it's the city. The city says it's the county. It's the same song and dance. We keep clashing. Let's just stop it. Let's just get it fixed. That's it. I mean, if we have to come out to remove this tree, let's just move the tree. And then also just to kind of speak about a little bit what I know the mayor has brought up. Yes, there was a letter. It was simply saying that GFL owner was in here. And it was because I was speaking up on the GFL issue. I don't think anything was, I don't think anything was malicious. But I will tell you, like many of my colleagues, like Councilman Abdullah and Councilman Muscat, Councilman Wenslow, Councilman Constant, and all of the council here, the trash phone calls is literally nonstop. I do not know what to do at this point. I, honest to God, at this point, I'm just saying, I don't know. I was put into a association group chat the other night on a WhatsApp group chat. I want to say there was about 200 people in this group chat complaining, venting. I'm all for it. I share the frustration, but I do want you guys to know we need to move forward on this. I know that corporate counsel Miyake is doing his part. The administration is doing their part. I just don't know what to say anymore. I can't make the excuse that, they're short-staffed because they've just taken Allen Park and other cities. I can't make the excuse that, it was a holiday. It's not a holiday. With closing statements and remarks, I just want to keep it, the council to understand, as some of the council spoke about the last meeting. It was, pretty embarrassing to our city. I think people just want to know what's happening in our city. I don't want to go back and forth with this. And just with finals, I just want to, reiterate the Ecorse Creek. I'm going to make it a priority that we are going to find a solution for the Ecorse Creek. I know I've spoken with our director, Deeb, who's always hands-on. I swear I love this guy. This guy is great. He's always hands-on. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to continue to be in his ear. I'm going to continue to put him. I know some of the department heads don't like to be put on three-way, but if that means I need to make proper communications between the county and our city, I'm going to put you on three-way, and we're going to find a solution for this Ecorse Creek. It is going to be resolved. I don't know how or when, but we're going to figure it out. With that, Madam Chair, I thank you to my colleagues. God bless you all. Have a great night.
Thank you. Next, I have Councilman Constant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to also thank our Dearborn Heights firefighters, another great chili cook-off. This year's chili cook-off was very well attended. I'm sure they raised a lot of money and they did a great job. They're to be thanked. I too have had a lot of complaints about our trash collection, about GFL, missing streets, going down streets, picking up some trash, but not others. And I know we've heard about their staff shortages, but really if they could focus more attention on getting our trash in Dearborn Heights picked up, it's really worst I've ever seen it. I'm glad during this storm we didn't have a power outage. Those businesses on Ford Road, like my office, had to endure 4 days without power. The power seems to go out often in certain quadrants or sections of the north end especially, and a lot of people were without power, a lot of businesses, a lot of people lost a lot of food. This power outage seemed to last for an extraordinary long period of time. So I've been in touch with the government relations person for DTE. If we can, all pressure them to upgrade the equipment so this does not keep happening. And I did go to the spot on the Ecorse Creek. The creek goes through two large culvers when it goes under a bridge. It's the only spot where the creek has to go through a passage that narrow. And if that area isn't kept clear, all the branches, debris, trash backs up, and it really seems to obscure the flow of the water, obstruct the flow of the water. So if we can look at long-term, having something other than those two narrow culverts for the water to pass through. The county, it's a creek, so it is under the jurisdiction of the county, but I know the Dearborn Heights DPW has gone out at the instruction of the county and helped clean the debris, and I hope this particular problem can get some attention. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Muscat.
Yes, thank you, Council Chair. I'll try to make this as brief as I can. A while ago, I sent you guys an email, all the council, our ordinance director, our mayor, our city attorney, about city blight. I'm getting to the point where it's getting over my head now. And I've seen this city degrade in the last 15 years, and I'm afraid. I sent you guys like I said, the email, and in the email is, you can drive down any street and see blight, not just one house or two houses, but multiple. And I mentioned there a couple of particular places. You drive down Beach Daily from Ford Road to Warren. So it's a mess. the unkept shrubbery, the weeds in the flower beds, the untrimmed fence lines. Same with Inkster Road. And the reason when I said those two areas is because they're highly driven by all of us, especially when you go to work at City Hall, even homes on Fenton. They're right on the street where our City Hall is. And we as city council people, elected officials, appointed directors and appointees, we need to look at our own personal properties and say, hey, I can do better. I can set an example for the rest of the city. This city has not had that example since the year 2000, I believe. Now it's the time to get something done. And I'm going to challenge our attorney, Gary Miyake. I've mentioned things to him about let's get things done. I haven't seen anything from the attorney that's supposed to be taking care of this stuff. I've asked, not seen anything, and I'm going to get ready to start getting a little bit upset here. I want this stuff taken care of. Somebody needs to give direction to the ordinance department and how things handle. There's a court on Berea Street that the grass is literally going on 5 feet tall, and nobody wants to make a decision on who's supposed to cut that lawn. That's ridiculous. Okay. In all the years I've lived here, I lived right down the street from there. The people who live on the court took care of it. Now, I don't know how legal that is, but doggone it, let's get the job done. And the used cars that are being sold out of homes, we know who they are, we know where they're at. And all I get is, well, they're selling personal property. How can you sell 50 cars a year out of your house and be personal property? We got to come up with ingenious ways to stop that nonsense. And I'm going to put that on Mr. Miyake to find a way to stop this nonsense. So that's my beef for the day. Everybody, I hope you have a good rest of the month, because I probably won't be here for the rest of the month and part of next month. So take care.
Good luck, Ray.
Thank you.
Council Miyake?
The only thing I was going to comment on was Councilman Abdullah mentioning the idea of potentially having a third evaluation, and Mr. Deeb chiming in as far as that goes. My recommendation would be to perhaps try to see what we might need to do, because there may be a need to avail ourselves of legal remedies, and therefore we have to be mindful of any potential statute of limitations. So that might call for us to act more quickly and do less evaluation to make sure that we're not going to miss any timeframes.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Abdelhak.
Thank you for ignoring me all day, but thank you. First, I want to extend my condolences to my dear friend, Mike Mackey, on behalf of myself and my family, for the passing of his beloved mom. And my condolences to Mrs. Loretta, who lost her husband, and who I wanted to extend my condolences last city council to her for losing her husband. But it's never late. I have several issues, and I did ask the council chair to give me time to address the city council. First, I want to talk about issues related to something important to the city. And I want to start with our treasurer. I want to ask her if she separated the bond payments from the water rates, because we receive water bill and it is one lump sum. It doesn't show detail how much we collect for the bond or how much we're going to collect for the bond. I need to know if she's working on separating those two things when we receive the next water bill. Is she in or?
Hold on, Matt. Go ahead. Treasurer, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I was waiting to be unmuted. To
Hi,
answer
Lisa.
the question, yes, I flagged that multiple times, and it is in discussion to separate that. In fact, we continue to have calls on that, so we'll continue to work through that. Absolutely, Councilman. That was brought to my attention by yourself and Councilman Ray Muscat. And so that was definitely something that we are working through. And I do want to also refer it to Director Jamal, if I may, because I know he has more information that you'll find valuable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The second thing for Elizabeth, Director Elizabeth Perry, the governor executive order prevent asking about the previous salary on work applications. Do we still have that question on the application which we have right now in the city?
No, we don't. And I thought the executive order specifically said you can't reject an application, and we've never rejected an application for someone refusing to provide the salary history on that.
So the governor basically did not ask to remove that?
No, it was that you could not reject an application. I believe Corporation Counsel could add to that.
Mr. Mayatki?
Sure, Council Chair.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. Actually, I reviewed the document that was referred to, and ultimately, you cannot end up requiring such information as a matter of state law. Not the executive order does not apply to us per se. All right. So the real issue is not whether or not the governor issued an executive order. As my recollection is, it had to do with state government entities, not including us. But I discussed this matter both with the chief of staff and with the HR director. And these questions have all been vetted through MMRMA, but then were revisited. And my understanding is that this has ended up being removed from our application.
Thank you, Mr. Mayatki.
You're welcome.
I would like the city to designate Wayne County Health Department City Public Health Advisory Authority. We don't have any health advisory authority right now. And I would like the administration, if you can start talking to the county so we can have Wayne County Health Department as the authority designated to advise us on health issue and safety issue regarding health in the city. So if the mayor would like to address this, I appreciate it.
I'm sorry, Councilman, I was writing some notes. What was that question?
Hi, Mayor, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. Well, I would like the city to basically start discussion with the Wayne County Health Department to be the designated authority to advise us in case there are any health issues in the state or in the country.
Actually, the Wayne County already is, we have a meeting every other week with the Wayne County regarding, COVID and any other issues. Usually there's a doctor from the health department that advises us on a lot of things, talks about COVID and other issues with the county. So, that's one of the reasons that we brought up the issue of going through Zoom is because of the numbers of COVID cases are on the rise. And we are in constant meetings with Wayne County. And I know Mr. Miyake discussed that, he did mention something about that, if we need to write a resolution, to say that we rely on Wayne County, but they are, we do fall under the Wayne County, and we do go to their meetings, and there's a doctor that addresses health issues or any health related issues within the county.
I would really appreciate it if Mr. Mayatki would write a resolution. This way we have officially something on hand. I would like the administration to because it is in our charter to establish Public Safety Commission. It is in the charter, and it could be 3 or 5 commissioners. And I would highly recommend Mr. Dana Parrish to be on that commission. And I appreciate it if you consider looking into it, Mr. Mayor, because really we need to have Public Safety Commission who overlook the safety of our residents.
Yeah, we'll look at that, Councilman.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. My main issue tonight is 2 things. What happened last council meeting, I really didn't know what to do sitting in that chair during the meeting, whether I leave and not do the city business or I scream at everybody. And I'm trying to be calm as much as possible and to be as polite as possible on those 2 issues. Mayor, you submitted with Mr. Mayatki letter of opinion concerning some things the council chair did, and I was hoping that the city council will make a decision on it, and they did make a decision. They did take a vote 4-2 to receive, note, and file, which I voted against with the council chair, because we wanted really to know the extent of it. But I will obey by my colleagues' decision, and I will obey with their decision and accept it and move on that issue, even I'm not too happy about it. The second thing, the water issue, the bill of the water issue. A while ago, I was invited to Ramshorn with the council chair for a meeting, and I was handed, if you can see it, from BSNA, the water bill for a business in our city. I don't know if I can mention the name or not, but I will try not to mention the name. And I promised her, because she claimed that there is some $28,000 the mayor wrote off, and that wasn't right. I promised her I will take it all the way, and my friendship with the mayor and my support to the mayor is on the side when I walk to the city council room. I did call many people in the city, water department. I called Mr. Mayatki. I called you, Mayor, 2 times, maybe more, and spoke about it. But numbers do not lie. Numbers do not lie. This business was bought in 2014. Their bill never exceeded for water $800 from 2014 to 2000, September 2020. All of a sudden, on 9/5/2020, the bill jumps from $169 to $38,000, $322.50. My understanding, the meter was changed in that facility, and they have accumulated penalties and other charges until it reached $43,304.89. 9/5/2020, the late mayor was in office for almost 3.5 months. And this was brought definitely in front of him by the owners. Then the council pro tem was in office for 28 days. And she claimed she didn't know anything about it, and I believe her. I have now no reason not to believe her. Then, Mr. Mayor, you took office from January 26, and some kind of agreement was reached on the 17th of February. That's 3 weeks after you took office. I have asked around, everybody and checked everything possible. And I go back to the numbers. Any person with reasonable brain will think about $38,000 of water. That is as big as 20 swimming pools in our backyards. 20 swimming pools. That facility didn't have any building project, construction project. They didn't have any reported leakage by any employee of the city. All it said, the bill, that it was calculated. If we did not catch misuse of water in several years, shame on us and shame on our water department. There is no way we inspect the meters every 2 months, maybe every 4 months sometimes. We did not discover all this until 3-4 years later, and all of a sudden we have $38,000. I believe there was a problem with our meters, and it wasn't the problem of the owner of that building, because after they changed that meter, their bill never exceeded $500 every 2 months. And if I calculate every 2 periods since they bought the building, 5 months by 4 years, by 4 periods, that's 2,000. Multiply it by 7 years, it comes to 14,000, not $38,000. And I want to say, if anybody has any proof that building or that property misused the water, I need to hear it. I need somebody to come forward. But knowing what went on in the last few weeks, nobody in the building, in the water department, have filed any complaint I know of against that facility that misused the water. At the end, they paid $10,701. And that was still excessive payment they paid, but they, out of courtesy, they paid it to our city to avoid lawsuit, which could possibly happen. The allegations were made, and unfortunately, I don't want to be harsh on anybody, are false. I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being courageous and for being the man you are to take the step to avoid lawsuit in the city and to protect multi-million-dollar business in our city. And I am asking you, we have a huge rates for water in our city. I would like you to look into it, to give a break to our residents. We are the highest rate for water in the county, if not in the state. And I would like, second thing, for you to hire head of water department so they can overlook that department and they can see when there is any problem. And I encourage you to correct not just this one, which you have every right by the charter to correct things like this. I encourage you to correct other things. And at the same time, as a courtesy, when you do that, please bring it to the attention, at least to the chairman of the city council. And I thank you all and have a good night. And I hope peace for our city.
Okay, any other comments from the council members? At this time, before we move on, I think there's a few things I need to address now. One of them would be the GFL thing. There seems to be a double standards. When I was falsely accused of trying to negotiate with GFL, which I wasn't, I made a simple statement. They called me. I told them what we were looking for. That was in no way a negotiation. We have at least 2 other council members I'm aware of that have posted on Facebook in regards to negotiating with GFL. Will we be having an opinion paper in regards to them like you did for me? Because there seems to be double standards here. Also, too, as far as the water bills goes for that certain business, one thing we need to remember is city council can do any kind of investigations they want. We can ask, right here, it says section 6.13 is investigations in our charter. The council may subpoena witnesses, administer oaths, and compel the production of books, papers, and other evidence needed to conduct formal investigations into the conduct of any department, office, or officer of the city, and make investigations such as malfeasance or irregularities in municipal offers. Failure to obey subpoena or produce books, papers, or other evidence as ordered under the provision of this section shall constitute misconduct in office. I did send an email to my attorney to both Corporate Counsel Miyake and the mayor asking for an accounting of any and all water bills that has been adjusted by him. And as of today, I still do not have an answer on that. That is unacceptable. What they need to understand too is the mayor does not have the authority to adjust water bills. Under 5.3 duties of the mayor, section C, it says the mayor, referring to he shall see that all terms and conditions imposed in favor of the city or its inhabitants in any public utility franchise or in any contract are faithfully kept and performed. We do have a contract between the residents and the water, and adjusting that doesn't let us off the hook. The residents are still going to pay for that money. It's almost $33,000. And I also did go into BS&A, which is a public thing that anybody in the city can go in, any of the residents. It's BS and then NA. And with that, I did find that on July 16, 2014, this particular business had their last auto read of a water bill. Beginning August 18, 2014, every water bill after that was estimated up until September 5th of 20. I'm not sure how they let it go so long, because I, at one time with a house I lived in here, had issues with my water bill doing an estimate. After a couple months, I was told that my water could be turned off if I didn't allow them to come in my house, which I did, to change out the water meter. Even though the automatic read was not reading, the water was still calculating through the meter that they took off of my pipes in my home. So at that point, they had me witness the number that they wrote down, and I was billed for water after the estimated amount. That apparently is what happened on September 5th of 2020. When they did do that, in the end, with penalties, it came, well, just 1 month penalty, not going back for all the other years. It was $42,299.39. If they felt that was wrong, why would they even agree to pay approximately $10,000? I wouldn't pay it. And there is no lawsuit. I did check Wayne County. There is no lawsuit in regards to this. This is not what, and also too, right now, their current water bill, after this head has changed and they're in business again, $1,203.07. That's what it is as of today. So they do run large water bills. They are a business that does use a lot of water in many different ways. So to forgive them for that amount of money is unacceptable. I don't believe what was laid out tonight as far as them not owing it. I do believe they do owe it, and I will ask for a formal investigation in regards to that. Like I said, this seems to be a personal attack on me, and I don't appreciate it. I don't know where else to go from here. Anybody else? Okay, we will open it up to public comment.
Madam Chair, I would like to respond, please.
At this time, we probably should go on to County Commissioner Knies. If you want, go ahead, Rick. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Really, I didn't have in mind to get to this point tonight. You have told me and told Councilman Dave Abdallah that that business basically used the straight pipe, which is bypassing the meter. What evidence do you have that happened?
Oh,
What evidence that?
Employees have seen it.
oh
And
my God.
There is a lot of
Please.
documentation. That's why Mayor Pleco did not adjust it when he was alive. And as far as a letter being on my desk, when appointed Mayor Bazey got there, my desk was clear. There was nothing left behind that was not taken care of, that was put before me. If there was something on his desk, it was put there after I was gone, and I have no knowledge of it, because I did take care of everything. And this is not the first time the mayor has tried to say something that I was responsible for, when actually it was there during Pleco, our former, our late Mayor Pleco.
Madam Chair, did you file any complaint with the city, with anybody when you discovered this, or you just gave me this and passed it to other city council members?
Well, I was in the process.
Your duty as an officer before me, since the minute you knew about it, you should have filed the complaint. You did not. You failed your duty. You failed your job.
Well, then I guess you did too, because you were also aware of it. I was in the middle of investigating it, and I did my investigation.
I did investigate it, and that's what came up with.
Council Chair, Councilman
Yes.
Over the Hawk, I started to say something. I really must strongly caution anyone about these types of allegations, especially being said in a public meeting. This is really inflammatory, and I don't mean that from the standpoint that controversy is a problem. I mean that from the standpoint that we're potentially saying things that are going to lead to claims against the city. And there are a number of things that I could end up saying that would end up clarifying a number of these issues, but I would prefer to say them in a closed session. Although the mayor and I have discussed the idea of me potentially issuing something that would not release this kind of information. But I do not think, speaking about allegations of essentially theft, are things that should be stated in some sort of, shall we say, casual way during a city council meeting. I must strongly advise you that it is most problematic to end up approaching things in this way. If we have to go into a closed session and something else has to come out, that might be fine. But this is very, very difficult in terms of seeing how this all leads to us not having some sort of claim brought against us as the city when we talk about things like this.
We know there's certain criteria that needs to be met to have a closed study session. And I've always said, if it doesn't meet the criteria, I will not have a closed study session. I'm not going to be responsible for that. This is not a lawsuit. It does not justify a closed study session. If it becomes one, then at that time we can do that. But there is none. And
Point of order, we're only allowed to speak once on public comment.
okay, Councilman, you're not running the meeting. It's not up to you to point of order. If Councilman Abdullah, as Council Pro Tem wants to, he can. But at this time, that is not your role in this meeting tonight. And if I'm going to be falsely accused of items, I need to bring this out. Like I said, there seems to be a double set of standards here. And I don't appreciate the personal attacks. I know I'm a woman in power. I'm in a position of power, and certain elements in the administration don't believe women should hold such power. They show their colors. They showed their colors off last week by making a mountain out of a molehill with the changing of locks, and now GFL. And then we find out 2 other council members did the same, but nothing has happened to them. Can you explain why? I guess not.
Which 2?
So it was discussed tonight, Councilman.
Okay.
I will continue to insist on an accounting for all water bill adjustments made by Mayor Bazey. Like again, this can be found in BSNA and is available to the public. So at this time, County Commissioner Knezik, you had an announcement tonight, you said.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I appreciate the opportunity to address the council and the administration. I did want to provide an update to those in attendance here tonight about some things that are going on at the county level. Before I do that, I also want to recognize and appreciate our Dearborn Heights Fire Department on the success of their 28th annual chili cook-off. Just this last weekend, right about this time every year, I start running low on t-shirts, and so it gives me a good opportunity to update what I have in the wardrobe. Had a chance to run into some of our great police officers out there as well, and had some good conversations. So again, just a note of appreciation and thanks for our first responders and the great work that they're doing here in the city of Dearborn Heights. First things I wanted to touch on, new developments and investments here in the city as it relates to the county. The first, as folks know, we have a large sum of money that's flowing into the state and into the county through the federal government as part of the CARES Act dollars. And so one of the things that I'm always excited to see is when a business here in Dearborn Heights is the recipient of a contract, if you will, to provide some of the services that we need here at the county level. Now, I'll note that this was, of course, all done above board through the appropriate bidding process, but very pleased to announce that Brookwood Capital business here in Dearborn Heights on Ford Road was just awarded a $3.6 million contract from the county to provide Velcro face masks for our first responders and adult cloth face masks predominantly for lower income residents. So a great investment here in the businesses in Dearborn Heights. And then secondly, I wanted to note the Wayne County Sheriff's Office mounted unit. Folks, I'm sure are familiar with the mounted unit that we have here in Wayne County, one of two left in the state. A very memorable image, I think, if you've come across these officers and their horses. This unit goes back to 1978 and actually was, you'll recognize the name, Warren Evans was the first commander of this unit back in 1978 when he was a lieutenant in the sheriff's office. For folks who have driven down Hines Drive, you'll know, depending on the direction you're going, either your right or left-hand side, the stables and the headquarters for this mounted unit is located right at the intersection of Hines Drive and Newburgh Road. The county is in the process of selling that property right now for some economic development opportunities. And so the question has come up, where are we going to relocate the sheriff's mounted unit? Very excited and pleased to report that Dearborn Heights has been selected to be the new home of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office mounted unit. They're going to be working proactively and moving forward to identify some property along Hines Park to make sure that we can find a place to put this. And just again, an exciting announcement that I wanted to share with the public and the members of this body. There's still some due diligence ongoing regarding the sale of the existing facility. So this is not something that we're anticipating for perhaps another year out. But again, just wanted to put it on your radar as quickly as possible. Update on two road projects I wanted to provide with folks. If you live near Beach Daily, like I do, or have family members who live along there, you will certainly know of the Beach Daily Road Bridge over the Middle Rouge River that recently began construction on July 26th. We are anticipating that project to be completed by late fall. In total, this is a $1.2 million investment for deck replacement, the existing structure upgrades, soil erosion control, some hot mix asphalt and concrete pavement construction, as well as an overall rehabilitation of the bridge. And then secondly, if you're out on the West Warren Avenue side of things here in the city from West Outer Drive to Hayden Avenue, this combines between the cities of Dearborn and Dearborn Heights and the city of Detroit. It's a $1.3 million investment for road improvements along that corridor. The bid was recently awarded. It's scheduled to begin in mid-September. So if you look or live along that area or plan on traveling along that area, anticipate that here in the middle of next month. And we anticipate that that project will carry over into July 2022. Some upcoming opportunities for residents that I wanted to highlight, and I'm highlighting these here at the meeting and with a pledge and a commitment to follow up as additional resources become available. The county is opening up after Labor Day a $5.5 million grant opportunity for flooding. If you were impacted by the flooding, there's different criteria that obviously we're going to have to set and build around these dollars, but I wanted to let everybody know here and now, we're working on the application, but there will be a $5.5 million pot of money that we can make available to the residents in here in Dearborn Heights to help mitigate some of the issues with flooding. I will be the first to acknowledge, I know in no way, shape, or form does that solve the issue or make anything go away or replace some of the personal items and the effects and memories that may have been lost in that flooding. But again, I think it's a great opportunity for us to drive some resources here to the residents in our community, and I wanted to highlight that. A second and final opportunity for residents that we have coming up here, the week of September 20th, the county is going to be launching a rental assistance program. If you've had struggles because of COVID over the last 16 to 18 months here, if you make 80% or less of what we call AMI, average median income, and you do have to provide financials to back that up, and can simply attest to having been impacted by COVID, the feds are providing Wayne County with a $32 million pot of money to allow us to help with this rental assistance program. It is only for renters. However, if you are a landlord who is dealing with renters, you also can apply for this pot of money. You can go up to 12 months in arrears in order to collect on those payments, and go 3 months prospectively in terms of applying for dollars. This goes for both your rent and your utilities. So again, if you're a renter, you're eligible for this pot of money. If you're a landlord, you can apply on behalf of those tenants. I've got 3 more things here that I wanted to touch on. As folks may be aware, and I've talked with some folks about this already, the county is looking at doing a development along University Drive, the University Village subdivision on the north end of the Heights. And this is a connector is what they're calling it, from Ann Arbor Trail to Hines Drive. The goal being to increase accessibility to our park system here in Wayne County. I'm a huge supporter of our park system. I think increasing accessibility to that system is a wonderful thing. What has given me pause with this project is the proximity of this development to the backyards of the folks who live on University Drive, where there are no gates, there are no fences, there's no privacy. Of course, the increased foot traffic that we know is going to come with the installation of this project. This project was put before the commission last week for our consideration. I was able to have that kicked back to committee so we could have some additional conversations and questions answered by the administration and the other grant overseers. And I wanted to acknowledge and I wanted to thank Mayor Bazey and Councilman Beydoun and Councilman Abdullah for participating in that meeting today. I will say that this was not a formal invite that went out. It was just residents, I think, who reached out to them and notified them of this conversation. I personally had the opportunity to knock on 190 doors this last weekend to let residents know about it. We had a great turnout at this meeting. Unfortunately, it was not enough to convince the members of the commission to change their minds or their votes on this issue. It did pass out of committee 4-2 with some minor modifications to push this development farther away from the homeowners and to continue conversations about retaining walls and lighting and additional privacy measures that we can take place. And so again, just wanted to thank the members of the administration and the council for lending their voice to that fight here today. You can't win them all, of course, but we can now shift our efforts to an oversight and a management sort of function and making sure that the county is following through on their commitments to this area as it relates to public safety, maintenance of the grass and the facilities as well. I'll share a bit of good news, and this is actually a little bit bittersweet for me. I remember as a young child going with my father to what is now Van Houten Park and participating in the construction of that park. And I know that, of course, with time, things wear down, and it's always time to look for opportunities to upgrade our facilities and to make it even more welcoming for our children and our families here in the community. Very proud to report that the Wayne County Commission has unanimously approved $118,000 to go towards park improvements at Van Houten Park. Again, excited to know that those upgrades are coming to the community. A little bittersweet for me, though, having participated in the construction of that park a couple of decades ago, I hate to admit. One thing that I did want to flag, though, for the administration and for the council, historically, as you may recall, commissioners have the ability to take some amount of parks dollars and distribute those dollars to the communities in which they represent. And as you'll recall, I represent 3 cities, Dearborn Heights, Redford Township, pardon me, 2 cities in 1 township, Dearborn Heights, Livonia, and Redford Township. Historically, the dollars that have been given to the commissioners to allocate to these communities, they're divvied up on a population basis. They try to bring some equity to the process. My personal opinion, and not casting any stones here, that's a political decision in order to award those dollars in a way that makes everybody feel good and feel happy. The challenge that I feel looking at that approach is that we're not able to dedicate large sums of dollars to do very large scale and what I would consider transformative projects. Some communities like Redford Township build into their bottom line every year the anticipated parks dollars that are going to come from the commissioner's allocation. I did choose to go with that process this year, just on the front end for continuity purposes. What I want to flag for everybody moving forward is that my intent is to change that process so that instead of everybody getting a little bit of something, periodically, I want each of my communities to get a big amount of something so that we can do huge investments and really, again, transformative projects on both the north and the south end of the city. In sum total, it could go from us receiving 100,000 one year or 30,000 one year to me being able to provide upwards of $300,000 to the city of Dearborn Heights to, again, do a really exciting project, whatever that project may be, and certainly in consultation with the council and the administration. The last 2 things here are changes that the county is making at the request of the city. One that I wanted to just update you on and confirm took place. And the second is to open up, I hope, a conversation and to provide a bit more clarity and perspective on what the county is looking for and why. The first thing has to deal with the county's home program is what it's called. It's a Home Investment Partnerships Program. It's administered by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, of course. These funds are used to offer a number of programs within our community to expand the long-term supply of affordable housing, decent housing, as I believe the word that they use, safe housing, sanitary housing. The county can then support development of for sale or rental housing developments for low and very low income households. This could be new construction, it could be rehabilitation, home buyers assistance for first-time home buyers. Dearborn Heights made the decision to remove themselves from that partnership recently. The county commission did accept that decision and recently passed a new ordinance, or pardon me, a new resolution at the county level affirming Dearborn Heights' participation or decision rather to remove themselves from that program. There are 43 communities in Wayne County, 37 of which participate in this program. If there's an opportunity to have a continuing dialogue about this, it's something that I would love to facilitate and love to be a part of, just to make sure, again, that we're opening up these dollars and these resources for our residents, particularly low-income residents. But again, it's the city's decision. I respect it either way. The county is going to do whatever the city wants it to do. I would just ask if there's an opportunity to have additional dialogue, I would welcome that. And then finally, the last piece, this is a bigger conversation around federal dollars. As you'll recall, Wayne County is the recipient of $339 million from the recently passed federal acts. The city of Dearborn Heights is the direct recipient of $24 million of these federal dollars. In some cases, right, Wayne County will be the fiduciary in some ways. We'll have oversight, will be a pass-through. That's not the case this time. This money is going directly to the city of Dearborn Heights, $24 million. 339 is coming to the county. The county has had conversations, of course, with folks here in the city about, what that looks like. The challenge or the opportunity, I think, that is in front of us is how can we take that $24 million that's being given to the city of Dearborn Heights, and how can we turn it into $30 million, $40 million, $50 million to be able to do more and have a greater impact here within the city? What the county has asked the cities to do and the townships to do is to provide us with a list of projects that they're looking to complete, investments that they're looking to make, either individually or with the county's support. The county has received the city of Dearborn Heights 9 proposed projects. We're in the process of going through the evaluation of those projects and making determinations one way or the other about whether or not we're interested in partnering with the city on that. And again, the thought being, if it's $1 million project, perhaps the county can make up 500,000 of it, so it only hits the city for 500,000, and it opens you up to do additional investments. Maybe because we have additional grant writers or facilitators through Guidehouse or contacts at the state, we can take that for $24 million and turn it into magnitudes of 2 or 3 times that. What the county is not going to approve, I think folks know this about me, I'm really a no BS kind of guy and pretty direct. If it's a request to supplement GF dollars, if it's a request to backfill GF dollars, it's an absolute non-starter for the county. And so, if you see some of those projects come back with a red line through them, know that that's the reason why. But again, we are interested in partnering with the city. We're going to take a look at these proposals and see what we can do to move them forward. I personally am going to be encouraging the county, and I had this conversation earlier today with our economic development director. We need to take some of this money and invest it in flood mitigation in the south end of Dearborn Heights. There is absolutely no question in my mind, when you have a huge one-time influx of cash, these are the type of transformative projects that we need to invest it in. Folks, of course, are aware of the long and laborious process of the Army Corps of Engineers and the scale of that project. One of the things that we need to do, however, before we even get to that point, is a $10 million investment in what they would call maintenance along the breadth of the Ecorse Creek, going in, removing the debris, clearing everything out, making as few opportunities as possible for that flooding to take place. This is a $10 million investment. The options that we have in front of us now are to go to everybody who's in that area and hit them with a $50 payment for the next 2 years in order to hit that $10 million mark. My personal opinion, and a little bit soapboxy here, there is no need and no reason to ask the residents to pony up. I don't care if it's $5, let alone $50 for the next 2 years to pay for an issue that the government at all levels, not pointing any fingers here, but at all levels, should be able to address and fix. The beauty of having multiple communities along that waterway is that instead of coming to Dearborn Heights and saying, give us 5 of that 24 million, and we'll make up the other 5 million to get to 10, we can go to all 9 of these communities and say, each of you give us 500,000, and the county will make up the difference. Candidly, that's something that I am going to be pushing for, that we go to the communities, Dearborn Heights included, to ask everybody for a little pinch of cash so that the county can make up the difference and we can make an immediate $10 million investment in some of the flood mitigation issues. I know that the chat function is disabled here as well. I was reading the news the other day about some investments being made out in the city of Ann Arbor, $3 million for a football-sized field detention pond. We know obviously the properties in the city that these could be opportunities for. And so again, I say all this to say, appreciate the 9 projects coming our way. There will be some pushback on some of them, but again, it's just business, nothing personal. And that I'm going to be pushing the county to do more, specifically as it relates to the investment of those dollars in the south end and along Ecorse Creek. So I neglected to say hi to the mayor and his department heads when I joined, to say hi to our treasurer, Ms. Hicks Clayton, and our county clerk, our city clerk, Ms. Senia. I just gave you a promotion there. And so just want to apologize for that quickly and just thank you for the opportunity to provide this update. I know it's getting late, but it's just some important stuff I wanted to share. So I'll stop there and take any questions that folks have.
Madam Chair.
Council Chair.
Okay, you know what, something is wrong with the screen. Everybody's split and I'm having trouble seeing hands. I've got Mo Baidoon. Is that you? Because
Yeah,
you're
that's
on a
me.
different
Thank you.
screen totally now. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just got a couple of questions for our Commissioner. Thank you for the detailed description of what's going on here. My first question to you is, I know you said you're going to lead with going to these different communities about the $500,000 each. Can you give us a follow-up on when you believe we can hear from them? And when will this 24 million or this 20, this large influx of money be coming to the city? Or have we already received it? Oh, he's muted, Madam Chair.
I know, I asked him to unmute. There's a delay.
You got me. Thank you. So the first thing I want to clarify, Councilman, the $500,000 number that I was throwing out there, this is just conceptual, right? That number may change. So I don't want folks to feel like 100% we're coming to you for 500 grand. It's possible. In terms of the timeline, again, I spoke with our economic development director at the county today. He specifically asked me to bring that up at this council meeting tonight to let folks know how much of a priority it is for us at the county level. I anticipate that we're going to be moving with that very quickly. I don't want to say it's a this week or a next week kind of thing, but time is of the essence, of course, when it comes to these issues. And so the concept of going to these 9 communities, asking everybody to put up a little bit and then saying, okay, the county will take 5.5 or 6 million of that 339 that we have and supplement those dollars that the municipalities are putting in. That's something that we want to do in earnest and very quickly. As it relates to the 24 million, I would have to direct you to somebody within the city to answer that question. I think from what I've heard from other communities, it's coming in installments. And so we may have some now and some later. I don't know.
Okay, my next question to you is, can you walk me through the, I think you said few things, I think it's 9 that we have requested already.
The beauty of being on the computer is I can find this in my email. So if you give me 2 seconds, I'll pull this up.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, and I will have one more question for the commissioner.
Hit me with a question, Councilman, while I do this, and by the time you wrap it up, I should have it.
So I do want you to know, I've said in the beginning, thank you for reaching out to the resident that you went out to. The Ecorse Creek, one of my biggest concerns, I think it's all of our concerns here in the city, from the administrations down to my colleagues. It's something that we need to continue to fight on this. I know Mrs. Todd has spoken about this. We've seen a lot of government has failed us, plain and simple. We've heard so many different things. So many people are going to go out and fix the Ecorse Creek. Everybody that runs for office says we're going to tackle on the Ecorse Creek. I know that the administration, the mayor's office, has already started a commission to help, tackle on these issues. But I feel like more needs to be done. I think more focus and more of our energy needs to be put towards that Ecorse Creek issue. I mean, just seeing, a good friend of mine, Lieutenant Gaylord's house, that was underwater. Some of these residents that are forced to having to selling their homes with FEMA grants. I mean, it's just terrible. So I don't want us to sleep on this. I really want to make sure that we are focusing. And so I'm going to ask you to put all hands on deck, from the administration to our colleagues, and especially at the county level, Commissioner, and including yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Councilman. And so I'll address that first. I've got the list in front of me here to answer. But one of the things that's really beneficial, I think, in terms of having a great working relationship with this council is, when there's an issue, people pick up the phone and give me a holler, right? And so I think it was Friday evening, I got a call from Councilman Wenzel, David, shoot down to 5406 Hip Street. There's a tree that's coming down. We need you to take a look. I was trying to channel my inner Ray Muscat at the time, because it was one of those trees that was kind of placed maybe in the county side of things, maybe in the city side of things. The reality is the residents don't give a damn whose side it's on. They want it fixed, and they want it fixed now. And so I understand that, and I appreciate that. And so, for yourself, I think we should all follow in Tom's footsteps on that one. If you see something, pick up the phone, give me a holler. The other thing that I always try to reinforce to folks, 1-888 road crew. I know that's a bit misleading because the word road is in it, but 1-888 road crew is the conduit through which residents should report any and all issues related to the county or county property. You're able to call, you're able to talk to somebody in person, they're able to give you a number, they can track things. and we're able to dispatch folks to take care of those issues. When we were dealing with the flooding issues previously, the benefit is when I would get calls from residents or go to their houses or go to their front yards with debris or trees down, we'll give them the number so it formally gets logged within the county. They're also given a tracking number that I and my office can then take to hold folks accountable on the back end. So we'll call a day or two later, here's the number, here's the address, what's the status, and we can keep residents in the loop moving forward. So no matter what it is, especially if it's the creek related, especially if it's a road issue, a pothole, you name it, 1-888 road crew is where I would direct folks to. To answer your previous question, so the 9 projects, and again, these are not all requested by the county to pay for everything. They're not all for the city to pay. Some of them are the city asking the county to pick up the whole tab. Some of them is the city offering to put up, some matching dollars and for the county to make up the difference. So 9 in total. The first $9.5 million to replace fire station headquarters. I think we heard about that earlier today in our conversation. The second, $500,000 for a service management system. The way that I read this proposal, it's like a CRM, a customer relation management tool, so that residents of Dearborn Heights have one entry point into the city, can get all their answers from one place, kicked back out to them. $1.7 million for storm sewer cleaning and video inspection, $11.1 million for lead service line replacement, $2 million for library updates, $500,000 for animal control updates, $508,000 for 911 updates, $15 million for a study of Ecorse Creek watershed flood management, and $3.8 million for a new city hall facility. Those are the proposals that we received at the county.
Push for that lead pipe issue, Commissioner.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good one. No question.
Council Chair. Council Chair.
We can't hear you.
Council Chair. Can you hear me?
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Councilman Wenzel, go ahead, please.
Commissioner Knizek, when you took office as new Wayne County Commissioner, you had some big shoes to fill from Commissioner Diane Webb, and you filled those shoes more than expected. You're doing such a great job. We appreciate everything you're doing for our city and the other communities. You stole my thunder a little bit. I wanted to tell the people what happened last Friday. We got a call from a resident on Hip Street, the Summers family. And I believe Councilman Baydoun went out there also, and Councilman Constant was contacted. But I called David Knizek Friday night or Friday late afternoon, thinking maybe he'd have a chance to get out there, sometime Monday or Tuesday. And he got right back with me. He says, I'm on my way. And I said, say what? He goes, I'm the half hour out. And then he comes back. He goes, I'm 2 minutes out. And the guy came out there on a Friday evening, check out a resident's concern. And we couldn't ask for a better county commissioner than you. I appreciate everything you're doing for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I think the mayor wanted to comment also too, Commissioner Knizek.
Thank you, Council Chair. So I'll actually, to answer Councilman Baydoun's question, we did receive half the fund already. I did mention that several meetings ago. So we got about $12 million already in our account. And I don't know when we're gonna get the rest. I'm sure it's not gonna be this year. So what I was told is maybe the second half is next year. But for right now, we did get half of it. We already have it in our account. And the projects that Commissioner Knizek mentioned, that's one of the meetings that we were at with the county about a week ago or so. So they gave us a deadline last Friday to submit the projects. And it was Mr. Conrad, Mr. Jamal,
Mr. Deeb, my chief of staff, were in a meeting, working around the clock with this, just try to come up because we're getting pressure from the county. You don't get that too often that somebody's wants to help our city, and the county stepped forward and they're like, hey, we want to help you. Just make sure you submit those projects as soon as possible. And I was getting calls almost every other hour, like, hey, how far are you guys? How far, can you submit it? It's like, we're working on it. So I appreciate the county for that. I'm looking forward to make sure that these projects, they go through. And I was assured by the county that, they're going to really take it really seriously on helping us with some of these projects. And as you mentioned, Commissioner Kanisic, we had a company here today, and they mentioned that they work with American Rescue Plan, and they can stretch the money that we get, not so much, from the county and also from the state and also from the federal government. Instead of the $24 million that we're gonna get, it could lead up to like $30 to $50 million in other grants. And they can guide you on how much you can actually spend on, there's certain things that it could be covered under another grant, so you don't have to spend it. So there's a company that's going to help us with that as well. Like you guys have Guidehouse. So to answer the question, we do have the money, and I don't know if I can make a comment, for the county's also helping with, there's a proposal for $10 million in Ecorse Creek cleanup. I know that that's in discussion right now. And FEMA, we've had several meetings in the last few weeks with FEMA and MSP, with state police, with other grants. They're trying to secure grants for the creek, for the Ecorse Creek. And I know there's there was something that just popped up. I think Director Hassan Jamal is going to address that as well.
Okay, is this director on here? Like I said, something is wrong with Zoom, so everybody is split over different screens than they normally are. Director Jamal, could you raise your hand so we can find you?
I think Mariana is going to answer that question.
Okay,
Sorry.
she can do that then. That I see her. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I wasn't going to answer the question. I just wanted to go after Mr. Jamal, but I did want to again thank the county for all their help, as well as all the directors for submitting this information to us, and putting this plan together. This is, as mentioned before, a very unusual time, and I do want to thank Mr. Jamal and all of the departments that have submitted applications, and I do want to encourage you to continue to think about what the types of projects that we could be applying for with the ARP funds. So if you have any questions or you're confused about how to apply, the mayor's office and Mr. Jamal, we're always here to help guide that conversation and give you some ideas of what we consider could be potential projects that would get funded. So again, just thank you to all the directors for the hard work. I know it was a tight timeline for us, and I'm happy that we did come up with a few ideas. This will help us as well with our 5-year capital plan. So this is the beginning of something that we hope will be bigger and more established within the city departments. So thank you to all of you.
Hey, Director Jamal, did you want to answer that? I don't know what happened to him. Okay, at this time I have Councilman Abdullah, which I apologize. I didn't see his hand earlier because I don't know what's going on with this, but.
No, it's all right. It's all right. First of all, Commissioner Kanisic doing a great job as usual, as you've done with every other position you've been on over the years. Not sure if you're still on the line. I believe you are, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is on the line? Okay, there he is.
Yes.
Okay. Question for you. You said 5.2 million would go towards flooding, and I just want to get that clarified. Is that based on the source of the flooding, or is that based on the residents that have had flooding issues? So in other words, is it going to the residents specifically, or is it going towards mitigating this flooding situation?
Could somebody unmute him? I'm not finding him on here. Oh, yeah, I found you now. Okay.
So, Councilman, I think you're referring to when I gave the update about opportunities for residents. to apply for some grant funding, the 5.5 million. Is that what you're referring to?
It was 5 million something you mentioned.
Yeah, so this is one of 2 grant opportunities that we anticipate moving forward. Literally, the application is being written tomorrow by the county. I know that as much. The intent of it is going to be for residents who are impacted by the flooding to be able to apply for what I would consider a direct assistance payment of some kind. That 5.5 is not going to be dedicated towards, mitigation efforts within the creek or around the creek itself. This 5.5 is solely for residents to be able to tap into. Again, the grant and the application itself is not written yet, but we anticipate it being available after Labor Day for residents to apply for. But to your point, the 10 million, I think that we've talked about already, and some additional dollars that we're talking about right now, those are the dollars that we want to send directly towards addressing some of the issues in Ecorse Creek. So it's not a one or the other. It's an and, if you will, in terms of where we want to direct some of those dollars.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Treasurer Hicks Clayton. Somebody please unmute her.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just too wanted to add, I know the mayor answered this regarding the American Rescue Plan funds. We call them ARPA. Just so you know, the city received through the Treasury that money on June 21st. And we opened a separate bank account for that because it's restricted funds, and the council did approve that to be done. Then that amount is the first installment from the calls that we're on. The second installment is anticipated to be 12 months from the first installment. So you're looking at probably the end of the fiscal year that we're in, or the beginning of next fiscal year. And that amount is $12,157,232.50. I do want to say that your monthly reports that you get from me on your bank statement balances does have it under ARPA, A-R-P-A. So it's under the acronym. So you'll be able to see that monthly and any changes to that account. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I see, Mr. Jamal, looks like you're back. We lost you for a minute there.
Hello.
There you go.
Yeah, good evening, actually. Good night. Regarding the applications and the communication and working with the FEMA, Michigan State Police Division, we are in the progress of actually moving ahead with what we have on record now, $2.5 million for 16 homes, and increasing our alternative homes to about 8 houses. Now, today, I received some good news that our representative from the state police is moving ahead and referred some of our project that we are looking for regarding the Ecorse Creek flooding and mitigation to the higher level. It's the beginning of preparing for our big, huge grant that I offered today. I talked to Mr. Kayed and offered to work together as a county region. We're talking about in the average of $40–50 million that we will be able to tap on with what we call the BRICS coming in October of this year. They all in the progress of working on it. At the same time, right now, recently, we are in the progress of actually applying for what we call supportive resolutions for our Ecorse Creek flooding system, meaning, updating the project to be what they call it, shovel-ready project. We are in coordination with our city engineer, Ali Deeb, and Mr. Conrad, Robert Conrad, our DPW, the city designated, the mayor designated a PE RED, professional engineer RED, to be our point of contact with the FEMA, Michigan State Police, to start the technical aspect of talking to him and start to see how much that particular project, making the Eagles Creek resolution a shovel ready, if we are successful, applying for that huge grant. And I am so excited to work with the county, and specifically when we have somebody like our friend, David Kanizek. He's a rising star at the state and probably the federal level. Thank you, Dave. I am excited. We will talk about it, and I wanted to encourage the county to work with us, work with our great mayor. He is encouraging everybody to actually, working with the county. Very, very excited environment of cooperation that we live right now on. I did not want to speak, but the mayor put me under the microscope today. There is a lot of progress regarding, the cooperative effort and unlimited support of the state police FEMA division, to do whatever they can to actually alleviate, mitigate the loss and the misery of the people facing the flood from the Eagles Creek and absolutely from the other flood. I just want to leave you in peace, say have a good night. And if you have any question, please go ahead. And as Councilman Ray Muscat always tell me, I don't want to ask you any question during the council meeting. I can always call you before and get my answers. But it's a public meeting. You as a public officials are, you have all the right to bring anything publicly. So I am open to answer any question.
Thank you. Next, we have Chief Myers.
Yes, Council Chair, thank you. I'll try to be brief as well. There's a couple things. I want to just comment on some of the great things that our officers have done over the last few weeks. Recently, Corporal Hatton of our crime prevention was able to secure a grant for $1,000 from Humanizing the Shield or the badge for a Heroes with Backpacks program. Corporal Hatton's always done great at reaching out and seeing what the needs of the community are from the police department. And this was one of the programs that she really spearheaded. And kudos to Corporal Hatton, and I hope everybody realizes how much she's doing for our community. All of our officers, a lot of events, Parks and Rec's been putting on their concerts, garage sales. Our officers have been out there. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're short like every other city when it comes to employees, and our officers are stepping up, working those extra hours. They're out there in this heat. They're trying to make sure that we have safe, fun events for all of our residents. So I really want to thank each and every one of them for the great work that they're doing. And then finally, I would like to let everybody know that the month of September is Suicide Awareness Month. This is our last meeting in August, and I wanted to let everybody know that the police department will be out there wearing their alternate uniforms, the teal shirts with the purple lettering, to help bring awareness to suicide and suicide prevention. It is very personal for us here at the police department. We've lost active members and retirees to suicide. I've made it no secret that we lose more officers nationwide to suicide than we do to felonious assaults. We're at a very difficult time. Our officers will have business cards if you need to speak to somebody. They will find you the resources or get you the numbers you need. Wayne County Crisis Line, 1-800-241-4949, or the text hello to 741-741. If those numbers for some reason aren't working, call 911. Do what you need to do. There are people out there to help you, and our officers are going to bring awareness to this for the entire month of September. That's it, and thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Next, I have Nancy Breyer. I'm not sure, are you speaking as a resident or community announcements?
Both. Most of the announcements.
Because that's two different sections and two different timings. That's why I asked.
Right. I think I've passed, it's been covered on all the other things as the resident, so it's the announcements.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, first I want to let everybody know that we do have our meetings as usual on the fourth Thursday of the month for South Dearborn Heights Civic Association. We have 2 speakers, 7 to 9 p.m. this Thursday, the 26th. In the event you're not going to the party that Kim's throwing, we still have our meeting on the fourth Thursday. Robert Conrad, our director from DPW, will be one of our speakers. And we also have a surprise attorney who's going to speak about POAs, power of attorneys. And I've already had a request from someone at Robichaud High School this morning wanting to talk about elder law. So that's who we have for the 26th. Now on your calendar, you could also put September 23rd. So far we have Police Chief Myers who will be there, and we will have one other to be determined. And our last meeting of the year will be October 28th, and our nice County Commissioner, David Kniezek, will be our main speaker. And Michael McCaffrey and some of our own people from the group will be doing the history of Dearborn Heights and surrounding areas with possible trivia. Hope to see you at some of our meetings between 7 and 9 p.m. on the fourth Thursday of the month. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, before we open it up to public comment, I need to let you know that it's a 3-minute limit. You need your name, your street, and your city. And Madam Clerk, did you have anything to add to that?
No, not unless you want me to read the policy again, or part of the policy. Otherwise, I'm good.
All right, go ahead. No, don't worry about it. It's late. We've only got a couple people that want to speak. Next, I need to unmute Dana Parrish, if somebody could help me. Like I said, our screens are all messed up tonight. And then I need clerks to do the 3-minute.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Council, Mayor. My name is Dana Parrish of 5614 Grinley Park, Dearborn Heights. I just wanted to say a couple things really quickly. On Robert's Rules of Order, any member of the council may at any time say, they may call that something is out of order at any time. It's not just the council chair. I want to say a couple things. I was told by a member a while back that they suspected that the mayor did not go by his legal name. In other words, his name was not Bill Bozzi, and that he was not a United States Marine. I'd like to quell that right now. I got some information. I'm going to hold it up to the camera so everybody can see that Mayor Bozzi, his name is Bill Bozzi. That's one of the awards that he's received. Another award that he's received, as you can tell, it says Bill Bozzi on it. He was a United States Marine Corps Reserve. One of the awards that he received was the Joint Service Commendation Medal. That's about the 4th highest medal from the Purple Heart that a United States Marine can achieve. So he's received numerous commendations in his time in service, and I really don't like to see someone's name be used and say that basically he wasn't a Marine. I was a captain in the Army. I have proof of that. It kind of hurt me a great deal when I heard that this person said that he wasn't a Marine. And I checked it out. The person that made this accusation was the council chair, and this was before the mayor was the mayor. And I want to put it to rest. Mayor, if you could hold up, do you have your retired ID card you could hold up and show everybody that you are indeed who you say you are, and you're not some impersonator or someone who isn't a United States Marine Reserve retired, or that you are not someone other than Bill Bozzi? Could you just hold it up or something like that? Or could you comment, please, sir?
He's muted.
Could someone unmute the mayor, please, so he can comment?
I'm actually speechless. I mean, that stuff was the ones that you raised, Mr. Parrish, was when I applied to be the mayor, you know, for the package that was actually submitted in the package. So anybody can go to that one meeting and see that, you know, obviously I'm a Marine, unless, you know, I was sleeper for 21 years and some of the awards, I'm actually speechless, and it's an insult, not just to me, but to my brothers and sisters who served in the military, especially right now with everything going on, you know, overseas. I'm actually very disgusted, you know, to hear that. And this is not the first time. I was actually approached by 2 council members, you know, several weeks ago, that same person, you know, said that they were going to report me that, you know, being a fake Marine. And I got a letter from the Department of Defense actually stating somebody wanted me removed as a mayor because I was an imposter as a Marine. And you know what? Here's my ID right there. You see that what it says? I don't know if you can see. It says right there, my rank, and what it says here, indefinite, which means I'm retired. And here's my there's my DOD number. So if you want to look that up. So I'm actually very disgusted. And again, that's an insult to all the veterans, all my brothers and sisters who served in the military, to be accused of being a fake, you know, military member. I'm pretty disgusted.
He has 15 awards under his name, including the Global War on Terrorism, Marine Corps Awards, Joint Service Commendation, Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, Sea Service Deployment Medal, Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal. I could go on and on and on. This is deplorable. As a former Army soldier who was deployed in combat as a captain, I find this deplorable. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I see that. I find it deplorable that someone would, without evidence or proof, would accuse someone of not being a soldier or Marine. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, folks.
Thank you. Next, I have Vince Tripkowski.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. First, I want to ask Mr. Hatcham regarding item 6.7, and that's the Fair Housing Office in Detroit. We've got approximately 4,000 rental properties in Dearborn Heights, if I'm not mistaken. Why would you meet with the Fair Housing Office just once a year? I think I would be meeting with them a little bit more often to find out if there's any issues in our city. And yeah, I don't need a response for that. And the other thing, Madam Chair, I've brought this up several times to several council meetings, to you, several members of the council, that study sessions and closed sessions need to be a little more often. You guys are not communicating in the way that you need to. Obviously, there's some issues in the air that people want to resolve. Hearing them, Madam Chair. You're not hearing them. So I hope you realize several council members want to have a study close to discuss some issues. So please make that happen. Be not a lead issue. That's all I've got to say. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. I do have to say something in regards to that. The clerk's office does have a list of council members who have requested study sessions, and we go over that every time before we schedule the next meeting. And as far as closed study sessions go, there are certain criteria you have to meet. I'm not going to be in violation of the Closed Meetings Act. I've never have been, and I never will be. We've been accused of it, but I never will. So I just wanted to make that clear. At this time, I have Suzanne Todd next, please. Is Suzanne Todd still here?
Director Hashem has his hand raised.
Understandable. We're waiting to see if we have Suzanne Todd here yet.
She's here. I just unmuted her.
Okay, good.
Thank you. First off, I want to apologize to Mayor Bazey that someone would even question you as being in the Marine, because even if I didn't know that you were a Marine, by the way you treat people in your actions, I knew they would know that you were a Marine. So I'm terribly sorry for what was said about you. The second thing I'd like to thank Councilman Baydoun for speaking up about the Ecorse Creek. I know people get tired of hearing about it, but you know, I just heard the rain pounding on my window again. And here in the South, when that happens, as one man put it, and I won't put it as bluntly as he did, but he said his anal orifice starts to close up. And that's exactly what happens whenever we hear a thundercloud, or we hear a thunder or see the lightning and hear the rain just pounding down. So thank you, Councilman Baydoun, for keeping the Ecorse Creek on the front burner. And I'd also like to know why Wayne County would not allow us. Let's just say I won a lot of money. I don't gamble, but let's just say someone gave me a lot of money and I donated a big backhoe to the city. Why would Wayne County not let us go and clean up the log jams in there? I just don't understand that. And I was going to ask Commissioner Knizek, but I see he's not here, so I'll just let it drop for now. Thank you.
Thank you. This time, is there any other discussion before we end the meeting? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn,
Myself,
Madam Chair.
Councilman,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, we have Director Hashem. I'm sorry, he is our last one. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I just want to, just to respond to Vince real quickly. Vince, what we do at CDBG is we have to do a field audit for every recipient of that gets money from CDBG. We are required to visit those offices once a year, and we do that with the police station, building department, ordinance, parks and recs, and also the fair housing. We do it with Vista Maria. That doesn't mean we're not in contact with these people. We have to do a field audit in person. These people are very busy. They keep us updated with any information that they have. But again, they do not give us names and they do not give us addresses. There's a lot of suits that are going on in the city that the fair housing takes care of on behalf, not on behalf of the city, on behalf of residents who have been discriminated against or what have you. Our job is to visit, do a field audit, make sure that they have their paperwork in order. So when they bill us, we are following the direction of HUD. But we do talk, and I believe I mentioned Robert. His name is not Robert, his name is Steve. I do talk to him often on the phone. He does keep us appraised of what's going on and what have you. So it's just something that we do. But Madam Chair, since I have a moment, let me just remind everybody in the city that we still have money from the CARES Act. I know we have 2 individuals in my office that are working very hard. We have helped about 140 residents already paying their rent. We pay rent, mortgage, and utilities for the last 3 months that they're past due on. This money is available. We also have kicked on our rehab program, and we have about 7 applications in process, and this will help a lot of people. This is the direction of the mayor. We do help a lot of people who were affected by the floods. All we need is just give us a call in our offices, 313-791-3500. I'd like to thank everyone and wish everybody good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, do we hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Councilman Baydoun, who seconds?
Second.
Okay, okay.
Second.
Councilman Abdullah, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, the ayes have it. Meeting has adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.